That should be good. Thanks.
Once again, the final regular home season game of your Vancouver Island Raiders. A tradition on the final game of the year will now announce the 5-year players who will be leaving the Raiders. Today, officially their last game as a Vancouver Island Raider. At number 24, from beautiful Wakeford, Saskatchewan, running back Rhett Williams. From Ontario, defensive back number 21, Isaiah John. From beautiful Winnipeg, Manitoba, on defense number 90, Garrett Beardy. All the way from Nanaimo, British Columbia, receiver number 4, Brett Ablett. From Clarksville, British Columbia, number 32, Thomas Franks. From Duncan, British Columbia, defensive back number 26, Riley Calio. Again from the Nanaimo, BC, defensive back number 6, Sean Arabsky. From Lethbridge, Alberta, on the offensive line, number 66, Traylon Weasel Travers. And the final of our 5-year celebrations today, from beautiful Nanaimo, British Columbia, on defense, number 98, Brody Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2018 Vancouver Island Raiders.
Okay. Football Conference regular season week number 10, and we're here on the field at Caledonia Park in Nanaimo as the Vancouver Island Raiders get set to take on the Valley Huskers. Second meeting of the season between these two teams. The Huskers winning a week 1 matchup in Chilliwack with a huge come-from-behind effort, a 21-point fourth quarter to beat the Raiders. And after that loss, Paul, the Raiders reeled off 4 straight wins. They look like the team to beat. Since then, they've only won 1 game. What's your take on what's happening with VI right now and what's at stake for them today?
Well, injuries obviously is the huge impact all the teams have this time of year, but they just, watching the Raiders play over the last couple of games, it's like they're trying to find themselves again. Last week was their worst offensive output they've ever had this year. Mind you, so did the Valley. They're 52 points against the Rebels, but they end up their worst offensive output. I think it just boils down this time of year to where injuries are start to take their toll. You get a key guy down, and it's hard to replace him. The gap between the starters and the second string is pretty big, especially in some of the positions like quarterback and the linebacker spots and things like that.
What Valley has done this season is nothing short of incredible. To go from 0 wins for 3 straight years and to come out and get in the playoffs the way they've done with the incredible trio on offense of Wittink and Poulin and Dick. Paul, have you ever seen anything quite like this?
No, the only one I can compare it to is the 1986 to 87 Victoria Payless team that went from 0-8 to 6-3-1. But to go from 0-10 to a possible 7-3 and a second place finish, that would be tremendous.
It's going to be a great game today. A lot on the line for seeding for the playoffs. Both of these teams are in the extra season, but where they're going to start, no one knows. We'll find out a little bit more this afternoon. Dominic Abassi, Paul Short will have the call here on BCFCTV.com. Week number 10 in the British Columbia Football Conference, playoffs on deck, but one more game to get through, and it should be an absolute dandy here this afternoon at Caledonia Park in Nanaimo. A picture-perfect day for football. Light breeze coming through the stadium. Gorgeous sunshine, has a lot of warmth to it. A little bit of a chill to the air. The leaves around Caledonia Park are changing colors and falling, and it's absolutely a gorgeous day. The field is in fantastic shape. We haven't had much rain in Nanaimo at all through this week, so nothing to complain about weather-wise for this one in what's looking to be, again, as I said, a fantastic matchup here today. Thanks so much for joining us on BCFCTV.com. Today brought to you by Kahunaverse Sports. Dominic Abassi with Paul Short by my side for the call. And these two teams, the Valley Huskers and the Vancouver Island Raiders, met head-to-head in week number 1. And it was going according to script, wasn't it? The Raiders had a 21-point halftime lead. The defending BC champions were going to soundly defeat this Husker team that hadn't won a game in 3 consecutive seasons. And then the script got thrown out the window and torn up on the way as the Huskers scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. They beat the VI Raiders 33-31. And that set the tone for what has been a remarkable turnaround season for this football team out of Chilliwack. They come in here today with a 6-3 record. They've won 2 games in a row, and they are sitting on 3rd spot right now with a guaranteed playoff spot for this season. The Vancouver Island Raiders, a much different story. As I said, the defending BC champions, but they have struggled their way through the second half of the season. They started the year 4-1, reeled off 4 straight victories after that loss to the Huskers. Since then, 1-3. They've only beaten Kamloops, and they're riding back-to-back losses here today. So in 4th place right now, the Raiders, they have plenty to try and gain, nothing really to lose, as they're guaranteed a spot in the playoffs as well. The teams are ready. The Huskers in the white will kick it away, and we are underway. Week number 10 from Caledonia Park here in Nanaimo as Jared Braun brings back the opening kickoff off the foot of Ethan Homan, and the Raiders will start at their own 40-yard line. And Paul, the big storyline for me has been Jake LeBerge. The first 4 weeks of the season, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The last 5 weeks, 11 interceptions. He has to find himself.
Well, I think the game that the Raiders played up against the Okanagan a few weeks ago, he got hurt in that game, and I still don't think he's recovered 100%. And that if it's a lower body injury, as everybody has been saying, it affects your entire game, because everything works from the legs up, especially for a quarterback, for throwing the football. And I think that at the Raiders, over the last couple games, they've kind of lost their mojo, I guess is the only way I could say it. And they are trying to find that. And sometimes you try too hard. Guys will try to do somebody else's job, or you force a ball in that you shouldn't be throwing, different things like that. But a game like this, if they come out and they can win this game and play well, as they're preparing for the playoffs, because that's the other key to this type of football.
Here's an interception and a gorgeous one-handed pick by the all-star linebacker Dawson Davis, as he goes up with one hand and snares that Jake LeBerge pass over the middle. But there is a flag down, although I think that was on the return. And, Paul, you see the replay here. This wasn't a bad pass. No, and North Rainey was right there.
It was there. It was on target. It was a great pass. It had some snuff behind it. It's just a tremendous athletic play by number 49. That was I've never seen one like that in quite a few years.
Dawson Davis, the all-star first-year linebacker for this Valley Husker team, the rookie out of Abbotsford, setting the tone early here, and the Huskers are going to get positive yards because of the penalty. They're going to start at the Raider 34-yard line.
Yeah, the low block by the Raiders on that one. That's a 10-yard penalty added to the end of the interception.
Points off turnovers. Turnovers in general have been absolutely costly for the VI Raiders this season.
I think that's,
or at least the second half of the season.
Absolutely, and I think that's because of the parity in the league. You take a silly penalty or the turnover, the other teams are good enough now to make you pay for that.
There's Julian Widdink with a bullet pass to the right side, and look at Brandon Poulin fighting his way inside the 20-yard line, and the Manitoba connection, part of that Manitoba Bison trio that has really dominated the BCFC offensively this year. All of them all-stars. Julian Whittink, Brandon Poulin you saw in that catch, as well as Anthony Dick. All three out of that Bison program. They come here to the Valley Huskers and have transformed this team. And now the Huskers looking at first down just inside the Raider 20-yard line. Whittink, an all-star at quarterback this year, 2,415 yards, 15 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. He averages a league best 268 yards through the air every game. He'll throw here on first down. Doesn't have his target, he's going to tuck it, and he'll be hauled down right around the line of scrimmage for a short gain.
Yeah, Whittink came into this game 85 yards shy of a new Husker record for passing yards in the season.
And that's notable because the Huskers, despite their lack of success, they've put up big-time yards throwing the ball, trailing in a lot of football games.
Oh, absolutely. And
as a franchise,
yes,
coming into this
Noah
year.
Falconer, who set the record, I think it was in 2016, he was throwing the ball 45 times a game on average, it seemed like.
Second down here. Huskers need about 9. They need to get inside the 10-yard line for a fresh set of downs. Whittink looks right side, steps up, throws. It's picked off. There was no one there. It's Givan McNally Hardesty, and he's going to try and take this. He'll be pushed out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Another all-star in the BCFC making a play early in this game. I wonder why these guys were on the all-star ballot.
True. That's true. That's the reason why the coaches voted for these guys, because they do make plays. That was just a bad pass. I think Whittink wasn't. I think he was looking for Poulin, but he definitely underthrew it, and Givan just stepped in front of him. Was almost like right to him. Catch this one and run.
One of the easier of the 6 on the season for McNally Hardesty, as I believe that moves him into a tie. It does, with Tyler Going of the Okanagan Sun for the most interceptions in the BCFC this season. The Mount Doug alumni out of Victoria making the play as Rhett Williams carries the ball for about 5, just to the 40 of VI. So dueling interceptions in the first 2 drives of this game. We're 3 minutes in here, no score. The 3rd place Huskers taking on the 4th place Raiders. Both of these teams will be in the postseason, but where they will start and in what position, entirely up for grabs between now and Monday. Second down here, LeBerge, double play action, broken play I think, and he's gonna run, and he's got the first down as he's popped from behind, but not before he gets the necessary yardage. Jace Harden bringing down LeBerge at about the 51.
Yeah, this is an interesting day. The games this evening, especially with the Rebels up in Kelowna. The Rebels are able to pull that one out. You know, both teams, well, the Rebels aren't in the playoffs, so they're not playing that well at this time, but the Sun had struggled last week against the Kamloops, their worst offensive output. It seems like you got to be ramping up for the playoffs, and the team's going the other way. But the Rebels pull that one out, and a Husker win today. If a Langley beats Kamloops, they're in first place, and the Huskers will host a playoff game next week. So there's a lot still up for stakes. This game is very, very important. And it also sets you where you're going for playoffs. Are we getting ready to go? And
a home playoff date would just be so huge on so many levels for the Huskers, and not the least of which is getting that home gate as well. That's big-time revenue for these junior football teams that are always operating on shoestring budgets. 2nd and 5, midfield stripe. Underneath handoff, it's Jared Braun, and he's got the first down. Can he get the corner? No. Desmond Jeanson with a good tackle just to stop Braun, but it is a good gain, about 15 yards and a first down into Husker territory.
That was a nice play. Just guy in motion. I used to call that when I coached the jet sweep. Once you get the edge, and you can pick up a lot of yardage, and Jeanson making a shoestring tackle there would have been a touchdown.
Desmond Jeanson is one of 24 players on the Husker roster that called at one time Manitoba home.
Wow.
Here's play action. Looks like a broken play and a bad pass and another interception as Jake LeBerge was crunched on that play and threw himself a pick. And this one is going to be returned up the sidelines into Raider territory, but that'll be where it ends as Trayvon Walsh came down with that one. And another interception, although again flags, but I think on the return.
I think that the interception will probably stand, and 2 flags, looks like 2 different areas, so the ball be back possibly around midfield. if what I saw was correct with a legal block by the Huskers.
Trayvon Walsh pulling that one down. And again, I mean, LeBerge there, you got to just take the sack.
Yeah, he kind of just threw it up. I was kind of surprised that he did that. He was out. The guy already had a hold on him and was trying to take him to the ground. So illegal block holding against the Raiders. That's declined. So play's going to stand. That's going to give the football 1st and 10 for the Huskers at the Raiders 35. Wow.
Wow is right. Second straight drive, basically. Last drive started at the Raider 34. This one at the Raider 35. Another interception for Jake LeBerge.
Yeah, 2 passes, 2 interceptions for Jake.
He's completed both of his passes.
It's the wrong color.
Just to the players wearing the green and white today, not the black and red. Whitting, hands off, first rush of the day. This is Taylor Becker, who has not been a heavily used back this season. It's mostly been Vaughn Richardson and Keegan Vickland out of the backfield for the Valley Huskers.
Yeah, they haven't had run the ball that much because Whitting's arm is just so strong and successful.
The Huskers average the least amount of rushing yards per game. I believe it's under 70. But they also average the most passing yards per game.
Yes.
So there's your balance. Second and about 6 here. Whitting takes a shotgun snap. Blitz is on, but he gets it away. He's got a man in the end zone, single coverage, and it's knocked down. Husker coach is up in the booth here calling for PI as Jacob Penner was competing. A little bit of hand fighting going on there with the Raider defender there. But no call, and it brings up 3rd down, and are the Huskers going to go here?
Yeah, it looks like they're maybe a little pooch kick maybe. Not sure if Whitting is a punter, but
3rd and 6, Raider 36-yard line. This would be about a 43-yard field goal, which is nothing to sneeze at. That's a tough kick, and they're going to go for it here. And that is going to be incomplete as Brandon Poulan blew a tire coming out of his break. So a turnover on downs. So both teams have had the ball twice, and both teams have turned the ball over.
Kind of interesting, you know, a game of this importance is all about field position, and I thought they had a good chance here just to pin the Raiders a little bit deeper in their own end. And I agree with you, it's a long field goal try. I'm not sure whether if the kicker is able to do that.
Well, I can tell you here, they have 2 kickers on record this year, Ethan Holman and Spencer Breslin. And the long field goals, well, Holman hit a 42-yarder, Breslin hit a 40-yarder, so it would have been right on the edge of, North Rainey's wide open here. Jake LeBerge got him over midfield, over the 40 down to the 31 man to beat, and he's beat him. Touchdown Raiders. A huge play after the turnover on downs, a busted coverage. North Rainey was all alone in the secondary, and the Raiders have the lead on a 78-yard touchdown pass.
He made such a great fake on the run play that the linebackers all stepped up. You can see on the replay here, tremendous fake. And then nobody saw it, and then they got to get out of there. And Rainey just finds himself in behind all the coverage. Safety, I'm not sure why he jumped up that quickly, but I guess they were anticipating a run. And turns it into 6 points with the convert to come. That was a great play.
LeBerge, it felt like he took an eternity to get that pass to North Rainey because Rainey was open for so long.
Yes.
He was waving his hand in the air, and you just thought, oh my gosh, is he going to miss him? But he put it right on the spot. For Rainey, his 5th touchdown catch of the season. And for Jake LeBerge, his league-leading 19th touchdown pass.
Yeah, and I think that the success of it was Jake holding on the ball that long because nobody knew where the ball was.
Great play fake.
Yeah, very good play fake.
And when you have the league's leading rusher in Rhett Williams, the play fake takes on a little bit of extra effectiveness.
Absolutely. This is the time of year you got to really be able to run the football, but the weather we've been having lately, it's like we're playing down in Florida.
It's gorgeous here today.
Fabulous here today.
Absolutely nothing to possibly complain about weather-wise. A couple of the Husker players I was chatting with before the game all agreed they hate this field. The grass, natural turf here. Here's Brandon Poulan taking his time, and he almost sprung through a gap there, but he's hauled down, and a flag is going to come out on a late hit here after the kick. I believe
Walsh.
that was it Trayvon Walsh?
Yeah, 29. It's one of those things that coaches just have bad dreams about when players do something like that. It's so selfish. After a nice return, you're going to be pushed all the way back and probably inside your almost your 20, I would think.
Bob Reese made sure he let his bench know that that was not something he wants to see much more of today. Midpoint here of this first quarter action. Today's BCFC TV broadcast from Nanaimo, brought to you by Kahuniverse Sports, as they will march back the sticks.
Wow, this is a 30-yard penalty. There must have been two different penalties on the play.
Get the call here from head referee Heath Edelston.
Yeah, no, Trayvon Walsh got
Trayvon
both
Walsh
of them.
got unnecessary roughness and face masking. And the Huskers will start, instead of near their 40, inside their own 10.
Yeah, looks like they're about the, 7-yard line. And it's a big hole. This is where the Raiders can dig in defensively, and you create a turnover here. You're going to jump on these guys early.
Whitting in the shotgun. He will hand that off, and it'll be a short gain through the gut.
I think that was Vaughn Richardson on the carry.
Vaughn Richardson. Richardson, a first year out of Chilliwack, GW Graham grad. And he's seeing his workload come up, Paul. 31 of his 85 carries all season have come in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think that the young guys take a while to get going, but he's such a good athlete that you can't sit a guy on the bench, especially when he's starting to have success. And the more you carry the football, the better you feel, and the better you feel that, you just want to have that all the time. Give me the rock, give me the rock.
It's actually a better game than I thought. They gave him 5. Whitting, all kinds of time, sails a high pass, big hit, but it is complete as Remy Chiavo takes the pop there and pulls that in. I think delivering the blow was Ethan Moran.
Yeah, I think it was Ethan, yes.
But
he's lucky to hold on to that.
Chiavo pulls that in. Another one of these former Manitoba Bisons on this roster.
Yeah, you can see the replay here. It was a good pass, and Whitting had to put some heat on this because he knew he was going to get hit, and that ball's there on a line. And
perfect pass. I mean, he put his receiver in a bit of a tough spot to take that hit, but the ball was where it needed to be to get the first down, and that's what the Huskers have here. Blitz is on. Whitting just got it off, and he sails it into the hands of Anthony Dick, and he hauls it down at the 50-yard line. 20-plus yards on that gain, so back-to-back passes, and the Huskers from their own 7 are almost up to midfield now.
Yeah, that's what they're known for. They're just going to say, we're going to throw the football, and you got to try to stop us.
Anthony Dick, a former Kelvin Clipper, playing his high school ball in Winnipeg. 1st and 10 at the 50. Whitting in the shotgun, Richardson beside him. Chiovo goes in motion. They'll hand it to the back, Richardson, and he's got a short gain over the 50-yard line. I mean, we talked about it in the opening, but I don't think you can actually oversell what Bob Reese has done to this program in 2 short years. The former Manitoba Bison himself, he won a Vanier Cup as a player with the Bisons in 2007. Comes out here as the head coach last year. They didn't win a game, but you knew they were on the right track.
Well, I think Bob is very strong, and your head coach has to be strong.
He's a head coach through and through.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what he did is he convinced the board of the Huskers.
As Whitting completes on 2nd down, 1st down to Anthony Dick.
But he's convinced the board that allow me the freedom to build this team and put my thumbprint on it. And the Huskers Association in the past, I don't want to say they meddled in, but there's a lot of sideline coaching when you're not doing well. And I think they've allowed Bob that latitude to say, okay, get it done. And you can see what the difference is, the turnaround. And he's got a team that now want to come and play football and have fun playing football, because winning is such a more fun than losing, for sure.
This is a 3-minute drive already that has produced 3 first downs, and the Huskers on a first down play get a short gain from Brandon Poulin as they just try to put that ball into the hands of that shifty playmaker out of Winnipeg.
And he's just one of those guys that he gets it done game in and game out. Last week, a kickoff return touchdown. And
1,581 all-purpose yards this season for him.
Yeah.
Because he is their primary punt and kickoff returner. Not to mention, he is leading the league in receiving yards coming into this game.
Yeah, he had 810, I think it was, on 58 receptions.
It is Poulin and Dick 1-2 in receiving yards. Mike West of the Raiders in third, as Whittink has nowhere to go on second down. And he will be pulled down, maybe not a sack as it's right on the line of scrimmage, but we will see for the first time today a punt. And we're almost 10, we're over 10 minutes into this quarter.
Yeah, I think he just ran out of time there, and they had great
Doyle
coverage
Westland
downfield. And
pulled him down. Is that a sack? Not a sack. Doyle Westland will not be happy about that. Tackle at or near the line of scrimmage. Those D linemen, they want that sack.
Absolutely. Yeah, he wasn't running.
Doyle Westland, actually, that's a guy who doesn't get, I don't think, enough credit. He has 5 sacks, which puts him second on the Raiders and tied for third. Block punt. Guy Van McNally Hardesty gets his hand on that one. Have yourself a first quarter, young man.
That's pretty good. He came off the edge and nobody touched him. He came off at the top of the screen to put the replay up and to see it. And he just gets his left hand in there to block that punt. Nobody touches him. He runs right on all coverage. And sorry, it was his right hand. He came across the body. But I think if you're going to get a free line on any time you're going to be punting and you allow a defender that less of time to get to the football, they're going to block it every time.
So the Raiders will start at the Husker 50-yard line after the blocked punt by Guy Van McNally Hardesty, and they'll go to the Weyburn, Saskatchewan native Rhett Williams, and he's got himself a nice gain, having a career year is Rhett Williams. Last year, Williams had 551 yards and 3 touchdowns, finished second in the conference. This year, 692 yards, 8 touchdowns on the year. He is the rushing king for now, although Kelton Curry of the Okanagan Sun has a game tomorrow to try and steal that rushing crown away from Williams, depending on how he does today.
And that's with missing a couple games as well.
That's right. Williams didn't play last week. Or if he did play, he didn't get any stats.
No stats, yeah.
Mike West on second down, and he's got a first down. Another one of the all-stars that are playing in this game here today. Mike West, an all-star receiver this season. As I said earlier, coming into this game, third in the conference in receiving yards. The former Terry Fox high school grad.
Yeah, he's having a tremendous year. And that's timing. That, him coming over from another, taking a year off, and then he's got to get into the momentum part of working with Jake and that timing part, which is so important.
Swing it out to Williams here, and he's going to be strung out and pulled down as Davis gets in there. Dawson Davis, 74 total tackles so far this year. He is head and shoulders ahead of the rest of the BCFC, leads the league in defensive points, leads his team with 3 sacks. And this I found interesting. He has 14 special teams tackles. And the closest to him I could find was Justice Kremler of the Raiders, who has 9.
Yeah.
So he's making plays on every phase of the game, defensively and on special teams. Here's LeBerge.
And he's a big mobile guy, too.
2nd and 6. He goes deep. There's coverage there, and the ball is knocked down. As getting a hand in at the last minute was Keyshawn Joseph. And it will be 3rd down, and I'm thinking the offense is going to stay on the field here.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, the ball hung up in the air a little bit, and I'll have the defender an opportunity to knock the ball away. But this game so far has been the game of turnovers, and each team's had, I guess, 3 now. And the 3rd down gamble, both of them have gone for it, or with this one coming up, 3rd down.
LeBerge, deep, left side, Nelms Horton, incomplete, as Jeanson was right there on a 3rd down play.
And they turn that one
over. And it'll be turnover on downs, so that's the 3rd turnover of the day by the Raiders. The Huskers have turned the ball over twice, Paul, but they've also had a blocked punt.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's almost a turnover, basically is.
Yeah, it's been interesting. And again, you know, these teams haven't played each other since week 1, so you're going to feel each other out. You've been looking at film all week, knowing the importance of this game. So they might be a little bit tentative here. And sometimes the coaches want to try to spark some excitement in the guys, and you get that third down gamble, and it comes a successful one, and it fires everybody up.
Huskers start at their own 35. They'll hand it off to Vaughn Richardson. And he has himself a pretty good gain on first down here. And actually, I don't think he ever ended up on the turf. They finally just stopped his forward progress.
Yeah, sometimes the officials wait on
running
that.
back.
He's tall and slender, but a local kid make it big. That's what's the most important part of it, is the more local guys you have, it saves you some money in the long run.
Well, and two, how many years did we see outstanding high school athletes from the Valley area not play for the Valley Huskers?
Yes.
Too many years. Second down here. Quick pass to Richardson. He will not have enough as he is taken down by Jeremy Chang, another all-star, and Matthew Cox in the area as well. So third down, and we will see the Husker punting team come up for the first play of the second quarter. 15 minutes in the books here from Caledonia Park in Nanaimo. You are watching BCFCTV.com, brought to you today by Kahuniverse Sports. Dominic Abbasi with Paul Short by my side. The first of a triple header here on finale Saturday in the BCFC. 4 o'clock, Langley in Kamloops. 7 o'clock tonight in the Apple Bowl, the Okanagan Sun, home to the West Shore Rebels. I believe I earlier said that was a Sunday game. I just assumed. This time of year, the Sun usually play all their home games on Sunday afternoons, but they are playing a Saturday night in the Apple Bowl this week.
It'll be interesting to see how the crowd is, because it's a little cooler at nighttime in the interior this time of year, and that's why they generally play it on Sundays, because it was a bit warmer for the fans, and they felt they get better crowds. But Shane Beatty, head coach of the Rebels, going back to Kelowna, where he coached there for 3 years. And
if you have not watched my interview this week with Shane Beatty and Ben McCauley, the two head coaches, you probably should. It's worth your 5 minutes, I'll tell you that. Entertaining.
Or the 5 minutes of Shane, you mean?
Well,
no, it was good. I watched that. It was Shane was right too. You know, like
Shane Beatty was very. As Jared Braun brings this return back to about midfield, you know, you could, and he did it in a good-spirited way, but you could tell that the Rebels organization was not pleased that they were the only team in the conference to not have any representation on the All-Star team.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of surprised at that, but again, you got to look at the turmoil that the Rebels went through this entire season, and that takes the focus away from the kids sometime.
Totally. I think that's, you nailed it, Paul. Everything to do with Charlie Kardalicki and all that distraction to start the year, it really set that franchise back this year. And you're right, it took a lot of the focus away from the kids, and that's not at all what you want to see in junior football. Is about 4 white jerseys stack up Rhett Williams there, and he's a little slow to get up at the bottom of a pile of humanity.
You want him on his feet, that's for sure. Oh, looks like he's limping a little bit. And
he's not quite, well, not anywhere near 100%, I don't think, although who is by week 10?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're taped together, you know. There's a lot of little injuries, and there's things that the first couple games you'd sit out, you know, to sort of rest a little bit, but coming down the end here, especially with playoffs starting next week, you got to tape up and you got to suck it up.
LeBerge over top for Ablett, and that is good for a first down into Husker territory. Brett Ablett, one of the Raider fifth-year players that were celebrated before the game here, introducing as the starters the fifth-year lineup. Rhett Williams, Isaiah Johns, Garrett Beardy, Brett Ablett, Riley Caillou, Sean Arabsky, Trayvon Weezer Traveler, and Brody Taylor, the fifth-year players for the Raiders.
Some good talent there.
LeBerge looks like he's changing the play here on first down. Motion underneath. They'll hand it to Williams, and that is not going to go, as Jace Harden right in the middle of that Husker defense to stop that first down run.
I watched the Huskers last week when they played the Rebels, and I found their defense a lot more mobile than I thought they would be. You know, a lot of teams, their identity is based either defensively or offensively. And obviously the Valley has been, their identity is throwing the football on the offensive side, but their defense is very mobile and very talented, especially that man in the middle, number 49, Dawson Davis.
LeBerge throws incomplete. Brings up third down, and the punt team will come on with Nick Hunchak for his first boot of the day, and some not very pleased that he was not selected as an all-star this year. Nick Hunchak was the all-star punter last year in the BCFC, but Isaac Wagner winning out as he swept the kicker all-star awards this year. And on paper, you do wonder why. Although it's a difference of 1.6 yards per kick, Hunchak did have the league best yards per kick. And this one will get a single point for his team.
There's a flag down there.
There is a flag, though.
2 flags.
As Brandon Poulin could not get that ball out of the end zone.
It's a nice punt by
Hunchak boomed that one above probably about 43 yards is the call from Heather Foster, the statistician here. His average for the year, 39 yards per kick. Easily 50. Penalties on either side here. The penalties were signaled, 1 for the Raiders, 1 for the Huskers, so I'm not sure how they're going to assess this or if that single point will stand.
They got 1 point, they're saying. The 1 point, you want the 1 point or two? Yeah, okay, I see what's going on here. Yeah, one of the officials is saying to the Huskers bench, you want the point or not?
We'll take a moment and congratulate the entire VI Raider family for their upcoming induction into the British Columbia Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, this is interesting. They're sure taking a long time to sort this out.
Wow.
Heath Edelson, the head official. Canadian rules sometimes, especially on double penalties, can be confusing.
A referee huddle in the BCFC, Paul. That's that's a pretty typical thing. No yards, Raiders. Illegal block, Huskers.
I'm going to redo the kick.
Redo the kick, okay.
Once again, congratulations to all the Raider VI Raiders.
Always, I was always taught, you always make a team kick again. Because now the coverage team is a little tired, although they just had a 3-minute break. But, you know, that's the thought, right? You make them kick again, make them cover that kick again, and with an electric guy like Brandon Poulin back there, returned to kickoff for a touchdown last week against West Shore, make them do it again. Hunchak, and again, just pounds this kick. And look at this one's even deeper. It's going to bounce in the end zone, and Poulin is going to pick it up, but there's no yards now. That's just a poor mental play by those coverage team there. He's got nowhere to go. He's in the back of his end zone.
Yeah, it was number 27 on the Raiders.
Not exactly sure the mental thought process there.
Yeah, so that'll bring the ball out with no point. And that's a point that could help you down the road here, especially the way the fourth quarters have been going for the Raiders lately.
Hunchak again boomed that kick. Officially 54 yards.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that he wasn't the all-star punter this year. But, you know, again, I would suspect the voters are looking at the team record as well and different things like that. There's so much involved.
Wagner punted a lot more. He had 88 punts compared to Hunchak's 68. So, you know, almost 2/3 or a quarter more punts, 25% more punts. So he maintained the average, and he was only 1.6 yards per kick less than Hunchak, and maintained it over 20 more kicks. So you could look at it that way and say, statistically, that is more impressive. But for me, the eye test tells me that Nick Hunchak is a potential pro-level punter.
Absolutely.
Here's a corner pattern for Poulin. Nice coverage by Jeremy Chang. As he says, no, 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 not today. As two all-stars go head-to-head on that play, and the Raider defensive back, the Nanaimo product, wins out that battle.
That was a good pass, too, because Winnick just put it up where the only guy that could catch it was going to be caught was going to be Poulin, but Jeremy just got his right hand up and knocked that ball away. Great defensive play.
Perennial all-star now is Jeremy Chang, a former NDSS Islander. Played his high school ball right here in Nanaimo.
And that's what the teams need, all the teams around here. They have to have those local kids.
Winnick to throw on 2nd and 10. Short pass out of the backfield to Shiovo, and that is not going to be enough. And the Huskers will be forced to punt the ball away here.
Yeah, a little Raiders survived that no yards penalty on a possible single point. And I think the ball back here. But this would be a first. This is a first for the Huskers this year. A lot of things came up. They beat the Okanagan Sun for the first time. They won last week in West Shore for the first time since 2008. So there's a lot of things that are building on this season. They're going to have success to look back on, and they've never won up here. So that's, obviously that happens today. They're going to be a little excited about that. That's a great punt.
Big kick down to the 30. As Ethan Holman hammered that one.
Number 14 put the lick on that one. Dakota Mathers put him on the ground pretty quick at the end there.
Ethan Holman, his average on the year is 34.3 yards per punt. That was significantly more than that.
That changes the field pretty good. That's not bad. Both punters today so far, when they have punted, have changed the field position.
We've only seen, 4 punts now, as that was the 3rd straight punt by the Huskers, although they had one of them blocked, so only the 2nd punt that's made it past the line of scrimmage. The Raiders will start from their own 35. 7-0 lead, VI here. Touchdown on their 3rd drive of the game, a 78-yard bomb from Jake LaBerge to North Rainey. 18th touchdown pass of the season for LaBerge. And that is a new career high for him, by the way, as he was on 17 last season and was on that coming into today. So 3rd-year quarterback having a career best season.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. I'm still very impressed with Jake on how he quarterbacks and manages the teams. And he's that type of guy, in my opinion, that gets it done because he is so smart. Got a hold here, I would think. There he runs over the linebacker. And
Dawson Davis and Jake LaBerge having a little nose-to-nose session there after the Raider quarterback was the aggressor in that tackle. There is a flag down, and that was a 2nd down run. We're talking about punters so much here. I just got a text from Ben McCauley, head coach of the Okanagan Sun. Isaac Hangtime Wegner. So alluding to
good on Coach Ben.
It's not necessarily all about the yards per kick, but the hang time, and that is a great point.
Yeah, it is a good point.
By the Sun head coach there.
And it's great that the head coach speaks up for his players.
Oh,
I love that.
Ben will do that. They all do. Every head coach. I ask him, I say, hey, give me one guy who stood out to you, and they give me 10.
Yes.
And that's these coaches love their kids. They love their players. 3rd down, Hunchak, the Saskatchewan product to kick here. A spiraling beauty. Forces Poulin back inside his 30. And it'll be a short return there. Nick Hunchak's parents are actually in town today here in Nanaimo to watch the game. Came out from Saskatoon to watch this. Former Hilltop as well as Hunchak, and his family made a point to come over and say hi before the game.
That's awesome.
So after the really pretty bonker start to this game, things have stabilized a little bit. We saw 3 consecutive interceptions, and then the Raiders went down the field and hit a 78-yard bomb. Saw a blocked punt, some turnover on downs, and now things have kind of stabilized a little bit here.
Yeah, we've been playing now between the 30, so it's kind of, they felt each other out. They tried all the little things early to see if they get excited, and now you just got to get back to what you do best.
There's a nice run after the catch by Richardson up near 1st down yardage over the 45. Brings up 2nd down.
Looks like they took a little bit out of the Sun offensive playbook when the Sun were up here a couple weeks ago, and they had those swing passes going.
Victimized the Raider defense with those lateral swing passes out of the backfield. Kelton Curry and Javon Kakel. None of the passes went downfield more than 5 yards, it felt like, but man, were they effective.
Yeah.
Handoff on second down. This will be close, I think. Richardson's got what he needs.
Yeah, one of the officials coming in says, I think we got a first down.
All-stars for these two teams. Julian Wittink for the Huskers, the quarterback. Anthony Dick, Brandon Poulin, and the linebacker Dawson Davis. For the Raiders, Rhett Williams, Mike West, offensive lineman Trayvon Weasel Traveler, one of the best offensive linemen in this league. Connor Kuliak, Jeremy Chang, Givan McNally Hardesty, the all-stars for these two teams. All of them playing except for the Raider defensive lineman, Connor Kuliak, as he is not dressed for this game here today, the former McGill University athlete. Here's Poulin, ran right into the back of his blocker Richardson there, and that stalled his progress on a first down carry for the receiver.
They ran into him and just stopped him.
And we have an injured Raider D lineman here, and that is Doyle Westland. That's Jeremy Chang.
Jeremy Chang, yeah.
And he appears to be in a decent amount of pain, and that is very, very bad news.
The way he's holding, looks like he's holding his thigh, so maybe he's got
a Charlie
horse.
You hope, really. That's a best case, or a cramp, I guess, but
no, he's in this definite pain there.
If you had to give me a list of 5 players you would say the Raiders could not afford to lose to injury going into the playoffs, he would be in that list.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the same with McNally Hardesty. Those are the two guys that anchor the defense on the outside. And, yeah, they're an integral part of the defensive plan that Coach Hawking has.
You can hear the Raiders coaches talking up in the booth here. They're saying maybe he went leg to leg with somebody. This might have been what they saw there, but
okay.
He's in a significant amount of pain as they're tending to the sort of upper part of his left leg. Well, great sign.
Yeah.
He's going to walk off the field.
And a lot of times when you're down, it's a lot worse on the impact right at the beginning than as you get a chance your body to settle. That pain goes away and you realize, okay, it's just a Charlie or it's just a little cramp or something. But it's, again, one of those little hurts that might restrict you from playing the rest of the game or, practicing this next week as you prepare for playoffs.
7 minutes to go here in the first half. 7-0 VI Raiders lead. Huskers on a 2nd and 10 inside their own 50. Wittink in the shotgun. 3 wide receivers top side of the field. Throws as he's hit. He's got Anthony Dick, and it's right on the sticks and the near side. Mark from the official is a first down from my eye.
No, it looks about a yard shy. A little more than a yard. Wow. That was a great catch. Another one of those passes where the only guy that's going to catch it is Dick. And as
Wittink has an arm on him, doesn't he?
He does.
Look
and
at this
ball
puts
steam behind it. Every throw he has is full speed.
That is a great catch, too. Anthony Dick was in contact with the defender as he caught that ball. Timeout Raiders here. It is 3rd down. They didn't even measure this, Paul. To my eye, that looks close, but they're marked it.
No, it's a good yard and a half.
Oh, fine. What do I know?
You got to look through your left eye. You're looking through your right eye.
None of the lines are straight here anyways.
That's true. That's true.
So it'll be a 3rd down play right on the midfield stripe, a yard to go. And Bob Reese is not even thinking about sending out his punt team here.
This is interesting. I didn't expect this type of game today. It was like last week.
The coaches are just going all in today.
Yeah, they are. They're just saying this is what we're going to do. And
not much reserved nature from either side. So a 3rd down gamble at midfield, a big play here. They've got a big man in the backfield as the fullback. They'll hand it off. The block is blowing up, but a second effort by Richardson, and he's got the first down. The Raider linebacker who came through, did the perfect job by cutting out the lead blocker fullback, and it looked like that play might be doomed, but Richardson had other ideas.
Yeah, once he got his shoulders north-south, he just kept his legs running.
Look at the linebacker on penetration here. This is textbook.
Oh, yeah, he
cut
took him
the
out.
blocker out. That play should be dead, but Richardson took 3 defenders for a ride.
And a lot of times, too,
Wow.
defenders come in and they try to put the big hit on rather than using their arms and wrapping up and using their legs to drive them to the ground. And
That is textbook stuff, the way that play started, though, by the Raiders. I didn't see the number, but the linebacker shot the gap and cut out that lead blocker.
I think it was Hill, 46, 45.
Well, they're both linebackers, so.
Yeah, I think it was Matthew Hill that did that.
Okay. Matthew Hill or Matthew Cox, one of them started the play the right way, but Vaughn Richardson ended it even better. 2nd and 5 now at the Raider 45-yard line. Whittink again in that shotgun set. 3 wide receivers top side. Brandon Poulin and Anthony Dick are near side. They look that way, and it's Dick, and he has a first down. There is a flag down,
That
though.
might be a pick play there by Poulin making contact with the defensive back before the pass got there.
Brandon Poulin and Anthony Dick, these two former Manitoba Bisons, along with Julian Whittink.
Yeah, it was pass interference against Brandon Poulin, and because he just made the contact right at the end of the play before the pass got there on his defender that was covering him, and
Anthony Dick
call that all the time.
Leads the league in touchdowns with 10, just ahead of Javon Katoy out of the Langley offense. 5 minutes to go in the first half. This has been a lengthy drive. The Huskers have had a couple of minute-chewing drives, but not yielding any points for them yet today. 2nd and long after the penalty. They need 20. Raiders bring 4-man pressure. Whittink, quick pass over the middle. Intercepted. Look at the closing speed by Sean Arabsky as he shot the gap on that play from the safety spot. And the Raiders turn it over. He
was a good 20 yards deep to begin when the play was started, and all he was running downhill the entire time, and he timed that beautifully. I don't know if you get it in the replay here, where he was 20 yards deep, and Whittink just whipped it, and he thought that his receiver was wide open, but Rafsky just comes out of nowhere and says, "That's my football."
Wow. Fantastic closing speed there by the Nanaimo product. Another hometown product in that secondary. And they're going to add 15 yards for the Raiders here to the end of this.
I think that's objectionable conduct.
Number 9 was that? Didn't hear the number, but it is 15. So the Raiders will start in Husker territory.
Again, those are the ones you go to the sideline and the coach is going to give you the big old wide open hairy eyeball, and it's totally unnecessary. Post-play penalties just kill teams.
2nd interception of the day for the Raider defense. Play action. LeBerge goes deep for Mike West. He wasn't expecting that pass, but then West goes down and the flag comes out. The referee closest to the play did not throw the flag. And now there's a flag that comes out behind the play.
That's probably against the Huskers again for objectionable conduct. Yeah, I think the deep official had a better angle on it than the official that was close to the play, because they're all watching different things. You know, they're taught to watch the hand. Somebody's watching the feet. Somebody's watching the waist, where the hands go on the waist, and your eyeballs can only see a couple things at a time. And
oh wow! Not only do they wave off the pass interference, which by the way I think was the right call. Then the Raiders get pegged with an objectionable conduct penalty that came out way late. Must have been something someone said.
No flag on the play, ball was uncatchable. Second penalty, objectionable conduct, 7 Raiders. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Wow.
So that number 77 Raiders, I think they said.
They said 7, but yeah, it would have been Devon Nelms Horton, the offensive lineman. So, wow. instead of a big pass interference penalty for you, you lose 15 yards. Now it's 2nd and 25.
Yeah, again, a post-play penalty, and it hurts you.
Raiders, they're going to run it. Williams, big hole. He's got close to first down yardage. Yeah. On 2nd and 25, the Raiders put it on the ground. Unfortunately, their running back is also on the ground, as Williams is in some kind of pain as he's going to hop and skip his way to the sidelines.
Yeah, he twisted something there.
Well, he was already heavily taped on the ankle he was limping on there. And they're going to bring the sticks over, would be my guess.
Yeah, I think that
yeah
is looked like to me where the official top of the
what a run
far side of the field signal first down. But again, like you say, how straight are these lines? Not sure who did the lining of this. Was it Glenn Cook?
Probably. Or usually a non-dressing player. That was typically, in my day, that was the non-dressing player's job to come down here on a Thursday or a Friday and paint the field.
Really?
Yeah.
The city didn't do it?
Oh, kidding me?
Wow.
We're lucky if the city would cut the grass. First down by a nose.
That was a great run. 20-yard run.
20, was it 25?
20.
Unreal. Almost as though the Raiders were saying, okay, let's take a conservative run and kick the ball here.
Yes, that's what I thought.
And they ripped off the big gain. Under 5 minutes to go in the half, and this drive is back in motion here.
Oh, it's a very fast first half, and Huskers have to try to keep the Raiders out of the end zone here.
Haven't seen a lot from Mike West yet today, as he has mostly been lined up against Desmond Jeanson, the second-year defensive back, who is a fantastic young talent. Play action. LeBerge finds a little bit of room, and he's just going to throw this away. And that is a smart play by the Raider quarterback.
Very intelligent play. And Mike West, he played for the Huskers, so I think anytime this year anyway, he lines up against these guys, he wants to show them that, you know, I'm playing on a better team than you guys are. That's what I think his thinking is, obviously.
Well, that is yet to be seen.
No, that's true, yeah.
The Raiders are 0-1. They're minus 2 points, shall we say, this year. Or I guess if you include today, they're plus 5, as these two teams have been nose to nose. Here's a deep pass, picked off, and was I just talking about that young man? Desmond Jeanson scoops that interception and turns the ball over, although effectively just actually really good punt, because the Huskers are going to start inside their own 10-yard line here.
Yeah, I just thought when I saw Jake release this one, I thought he's just trying to throw it up rather than throw a pass. He was just putting it up there, and hopefully somebody's going to catch it. Unfortunately for him, on a stat standpoint anyway, it goes to another jersey color. But like you say, it's like a punt.
The amount of interceptions, I had the stat. In the last 5 games, and if you include today now, so in the last 6 games, 14 interceptions for Jake LeBerge. He threw 4 against the Okanagan Sun 2 weeks ago. He's thrown 3 here today already.
Wow.
You will not win football games in the playoffs if you throw 3 interceptions. That's going to put you in a bad spot.
Yeah, that had potential. That pass there to Chovo, that was something that was going to get turned into some big yards. It was just a bad pass, a little bit too high over the middle. I suspect, Nick, this would be the last play before the 3-minute warning, I would think. Well, a little different game than I thought it was going to be. Last week's Valley and Rebel game was completely different than I thought, and I thought this one would be a little more wide open. Both quarterbacks love to throw the football.
Whittick will throw on 2nd down over the seam. Chiovo's got it. Oh, he tried to plant, and if he would have stuck his plant foot there and beat that defender, he would have been gone. But either way, it's about a 25-yard gain and a first down as we hit the 3-minute warning.
Yeah, he was wide open on that play.
Remy Chiovo was wide open.
One of those plays that your coaches look at and go, what the heck happened here, guys? So we'll see what the Huskers can put together here. They really haven't moved the ball with a lot of success. They've taken some silly penalties, too, that have hurt them.
Asking for the clock to be put back to the 3-minute mark here. Hey, don't forget, you can send us a tweet. Get at us on social media at Dom Abassi, DOMABASSI.
While you're there, grab a mini football. We're just 3 or 4 minutes away from the world's biggest mini football drive.
First down, pass, play, Raiders blitz. Whitting gets it off. He's got Chiovo wide open up the seam, deep into Raider territory. Arabsky pushes him out of bounds inside the 15-yard line as Remy Chiovo was wide open up the seam for a second straight play.
Same play, just it's interesting that he was wide open that easily as well. Just got in behind the linebacker drop, and a good pass by Whitting.
A huge play, biggest of the day for the Husker offense.
Yeah, it just looks like just inside the 11-yard line, so they can get a first down, looks like.
62-yard pass play. Puts the Huskers in a first and almost goal situation. Now a pass to the end zone and a touchdown. And Anthony Dick, his league-leading 11th touchdown of the season. And the Huskers are an extra point away from tying this game.
It's another one of those ones that, Whitting just puts the ball on the line and puts some heat behind it, and nobody's going to catch it except his receiver. It's on the replay here. It's just a two-step drop, boom, throw it.
Nothing fancy about it.
No, just a quick little slant.
16th touchdown pass of the season for Julian Whitting. But the real play on that drive was the 62-yard pass from Whitting to Chiovo that set up that 11-yard touchdown pass.
So Whitting, I would guess he's had his 85 yards passing to set a new Huskers record.
I think so,
yeah.
Yeah. Almost got it on those
probably.
2 plays there. Well, that drive, he got it. The 2 passes, Chiovo, and then the touchdown pass easily.
Yeah. So congratulations to him.
So that is the most passing yards ever by a quarterback in the single season.
Yes.
In the history of the Huskers franchise. Congratulations to Julian Whitting. The best season any Husker quarterback has ever had.
That's correct. The same with receiving.
Well, statistically.
Yeah, Brandon Poulin he's got 58. Coming into this game, he had 58 receptions, and he had broken a couple games ago the Huskers record of 47 on the year. So these Manitoba kids are leaving their finger mark on Husker record book.
That was a 101-yard drive in 3-4 plays?
Yes, yeah.
4 completions, 101 yards. Looking very easy for the Husker offense there to get their first points of the day and tie this game up. And the Raiders take over on offense here for their 8th drive of the game. They have 3 interceptions, a turnover on downs, a touchdown, and 2 punts. So it has been a roller coaster for the Raider offense today, and really for the whole second half of the season.
Yeah, that's where they lost something somewhere along the line, where they just lost that swagger that the Raiders have always had offensively, and somewhere this year and I think it goes back to the game. I think it was against the Okanagan Sun when Jake got hurt, that he hasn't been able to set his feet completely for his passing game. And then injuries, like I was saying, really start taking their toll.
Doubles back here, and a huge gain up the sidelines. He hobbled off the field last drive. That play started right, ended on the left sideline. A huge rip.
Yeah, the Huskers got a good push, and they just shut down the hole where he was assigned to go. And
this was a right side handoff to Williams. It was supposed to go off tackle right
LeBerge just says, follow me.
LeBerge does a lead block. Does he make a block, though? Well, yeah, he did, too.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
It's all right. Keisha Joseph finally tracks him down.
40-yard rip by Rhett Williams. And a timeout here by the Raiders. Wow, what a big play there.
That was a huge play, especially at the drive that the Huskers put on. It kind of takes a little bit of oomph out of you, and then you get a big run like that. That gets your mojo back. Still a lot of time, 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go until halftime. There's plenty of time. Did somebody get hurt, or is this just a timeout?
Timeout, Raiders. I mean, the way Rhett Williams came off the field last drive, you're thinking, oh, man.
Yes. Yeah, I thought he'd be down for a couple of series anyway.
Still in there now. First down after the timeout inside the Husker 35. 2:21 on the clock. So the Raiders have no more timeouts in this half, but all kinds of time here. Time not an issue at all. They could even get another drive after this, depending on how things play out.
Yeah.
They'll go to Williams again. And another good gain, left side. James Moore and company in there for the tackle on the Husker defense. I really do love these white jerseys.
Well,
the all white with that new logo and the green head looks really good.
Yeah, and from a broadcast standpoint and doing statistics, the numbers, they're so clear you can see them.
Stand out, yeah. Well, that's what you think of when you design a jersey, isn't it?
Well,
Can the statistician see the numbers?
Yeah. But a lot of times you get a lot of fingers on there, and they want to put all this fancy stuff in.
I totally know, yeah. Huskers jumped, free play. Mike West makes one man miss, gets a first down. Almost kind of unfortunate the Raiders had a screen pass called on a free play.
Yes.
Because you'd love to have somebody going downfield and just throw it up. As the Husker D-line jumped.
I would suspect they'll
decline the penalty, take the play. Yeah, you talk about Mike West. Yeah, he is a former Husker. In 2016 was an all-star playing for the Valley Huskers. Coming out of the Terry Fox High School program, was the BC High School AAA Player of the Year. Coming out of high school, he went out to the Manitoba Bisons, actually as a D lineman, and then came back and played with the Valley Huskers, was an all-star receiver, but he took a year off so that he could change teams because the Huskers wouldn't release him. And here he is back this season. When these teams met in week one, you know that must have been an emotional game for him. He only had one catch for 14 yards. And he's been a little more involved today as LeBerge is going to run, and he gets brought down up high, and the back judge throws the flag here.
Yeah, I think that might have been a face mask.
The Husker coaches are incensed by that call. Oh, Bob Reist is hot. Yeah, it was actually. Bob Reist just yelled. He said, at least call it a horse collar and get it right. And he is right. It was a horse collar. It was not a face mask.
Yeah, Bobby's he's hot right now.
Well, I don't blame him. I don't blame him in as much as head coaches are always going to be a little worked up about calls, but that was the right call.
Oh, absolutely.
The hand went inside the shoulder pads on the back, so if it wasn't a face mask, it was a horse collar. Regardless, it's first and goal. 90 seconds to go in the half. Raiders line up shotgun. Play action. Jake LeBerge is going to walk into the end zone.
Yeah, they thought that Rhett Williams was going to take that hand off, and everybody flowed to him, and Jake had just a clear path to the end zone. Yeah, the clock was running through that entire dead ball period, so I would think at the end of the day you're going to see about another 20 seconds put back on the clock, maybe.
Yeah, they'll set that clock back. Well, the clock was at the coaches want 1:30 on the clock. The clock was at 1:31 when the play started, so there's no way it was a 1 second play.
No, it was one. Yeah, you said 90 seconds. It was 1:31. That's almost blocked.
Extra point is through. Raiders have a 14-7 lead now in the late stages of this first half after a big penalty call. Well, really, the drive started with a 40-yard rip on what should have been a run for a loss by Rhett Williams, and then a big 15-yard penalty, and Jake LeBert scampers in for a 5-yard touchdown, and the Raiders back in front on the drive after the Huskers tied the game up.
Yeah, and that all started on the with that pass. Raiders thought it should have been interference, and flag picked up, and they take the 10-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and then Rhett rips off the 40-yard run to give him the first down, and then from there is just march down and score.
Huskers plenty of time here. I believe they still have all their timeouts as well.
Poulin on the return. He's got a hole here. Turns the speed, jets on.
Poulin up the right side, and he'll get to midfield. And so this last-minute drive before halftime will get a great starting spot.
Well, it allows that return there. That's about a 45-yard return. That allows the Huskers an opportunity to come away with some points here before halftime.
Open playbook. You don't have to worry about turning the ball over deep in your own end of the field.
Yeah, and they're just in, they're going to come out throwing. I would suspect that they're going to be trying to score here to answer what the Raiders touchdown.
Haven't seen Jeremy Chang come back in the game for the Raiders, as he left earlier with a leg injury. Whittink will throw here on first down. He's got Poulin in the seam. Oh, he takes a huge hit. Sean Arabsky coming downhill, but Poulin ain't too worried about it as he gets up and spins the football and says, I'm fine. What a shot by Arabsky coming downhill.
Yeah, you can see on the replay here, Poulin was wide open.
Nice touch pass here by Whittink, too.
And he just, as soon as he catches this ball right
on
out
the
of nowhere,
money.
comes your safety.
That's a huge hit.
And it was legal, too. He didn't leave his feet. There was no targeting. It was
shoulder to the chest.
Shoulder to the chest.
Perfect hit. And Poulin, credit to him, he got right up. The tough customer, the diminutive receiver. First down, end zone for Dick. Incomplete, but the flag comes out. McNally Hardesty, I thought, with great coverage there.
Yeah, that might not be on the Raiders, but I suspect it would be. Because they both went up for the football, and you can see Dick's both hands go up for it. So
I don't know. I think that's really, really just a
that's what
good battle for the ball, but it is PI. Got a tweet here from Jeremy Chang's brother, and he says, can you lean over the side and tell my brother that if Rhett can tough it out, so can he? Referencing Rhett Williams coming back into the game, and Jeremy Chang has not yet, so nice to know his brother is saying, come on.
I'm sure the coaches are doing that too.
So the pass interference penalty sets up the Huskers here. First down, about the Raider 15-yard line. Whittink will throw. Raiders with pressure. They've got it to Dick. McNally Hardesty punches the ball out, and the Raiders have it. It's a fumble. Guy Van McNally Hardesty making play after play in this first half. He's got a pick. He's got a blocked punt. Now a forced fumble.
Yeah, this one is just all on Dick for his extra effort here. He should have basically gone down. He sticks the ball out,
trying
to get a better handle on it. And it's almost like you should purposely go down. The clock will stop and give you some more time and start your next play. But sometimes extra effort will cause a turnover like that.
Fourth turnover of the day by the Huskers. 2 interceptions, a fumble, and a turnover on downs. And the Raiders take over. 35 seconds left in the half. I can't imagine we'll see much here. But that is a huge play. That takes points off the board by McNally Hardesty. The Mount Doug Ram all-star. And you see why in this first half. Huskers are going to use a timeout here.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, obviously this next play, if they've got to stop them here, they don't have any more timeouts left, and you stop them here and have trouble with the clock
put
today.
8 seconds back on the clock.
So
37 seconds on the clock. Timeout, Huskers. Raiders are looking at second and about 5 here.
I'll give them a long timeout anyway.
You're watching BCFCTV.com, brought to you today by Kahunaverse Sports. Dominic Amassi with Paul Short. Production crew with us here today from Roll Focus for the game, and lots more to come on BCFCTV.com today. 2 more games, 4 o'clock start in Kamloops, the Langley Rams visiting the Broncos, and then the night game, the West Shore Rebels in the Apple Bowl. If you watched my Week 10 preview, which I know you all did, at bcfootballconference.com or on the social media channels, I predicted, I just have a hunch, I have a feeling that the Rebels are going to go up and win that game. I don't know. They have nothing to lose. They're chip on their shoulder about the All-Stars. It's a rivalry game. It's Shane Beatty back in the Apple Bowl. It's the Sun are beat up. They barely beat the Broncos. There's just something about that game.
Tough task.
I agree. And I'm not saying it's happening. I wouldn't put money on it, but I just have this hunch. Jared Braun on an end around underneath handoff.
He got the first down, I think.
And if he does get the first down, that'll pretty much mean that we're heading to halftime.
Nothing is impossible, if you will. I know the Rebels are they're still working on, with Coach Boyce as the offensive coordinator and in his system. Shane's back on the defense, which he loves. He's a defensive coach. But it's just, I think it's the players. Do they have that knowing it's their last game, do they have it in them?
You're right. Do they want it?
Yeah.
You're right. And then that's where, in my mind, I'm giving them the benefit that I think that they're going to go in there with a chip on their shoulder and try and prove a point and end the season that's been probably really frustrating for them and end it on a high. Whereas, of course, the logical thinking, Paul, I think, is that, come on, the Sun have a chance at home to take first place. They're not going to let that slip through their fingers against the fifth-place team, and that's a practical way to look at it. Trust me, I get that, but I just have a hunch. I just threw that out there.
Yeah, obviously it can happen, but I think there's too much on line in that game tonight. A Sun loss with a Huskers win today, Langley win, they should defeat Kamloops. So that's going to drop the Sun out of a home field advantage in playoff time.
Yeah, I don't.
But anyhow.
Hey, like I said, I'm not putting money on it. If you asked me to put down a 20 right now, I wouldn't do it. But on a hunch.
Well, I know I'm going to tune in tonight when I get back down to Victoria. I'm going to take a look at that game.
So the first half in the books. Here from Caledonia Park in Nanaimo, the home side with a 14-7 lead. Jake LeBerge with a touchdown pass to North Rainey, 78 yards in the middle of the first quarter. The Huskers answer back with an 11-yard touchdown pass from Julian Whitting to Anthony Dick with 2:40 to go in the second quarter. But the Raiders come back on the next drive, and they march down the field. Jake LeBerge, a 5-yard touchdown run to give his team the halftime lead. We will step aside, take a little break here at halftime. We'll come back with second half kickoff. The Raiders with a 7-point lead. You're watching BCFCTV.com.
ready. For the football toss coming up, you can see the truck coming around in the end zone right now. It's your chance to win some cool Raider stuff. A couple prize packages to give away. While you're at it, grab a burger, grab a hot dog, and pick up some 50-50 tickets to support the VI Raiders. You can walk out of here with about $300 bucks. And you still have lots of time as well. Grab yourself an adult beverage from the white tent at the end of the grandstands. Here at beautiful Caledonia, you can take that beverage anywhere you want in the grandstands as well. A big thanks to the Lucky Bike for showing up here. Labatt's, Budweiser, Palm Bay, and all the volunteers that make it possible for us. Once again, here's the mini football toss. We'll announce a winner for you early in the third. It's your chance to win some cool prizes. Thanks to everyone participating in the mini football toss. Of course, the proceeds go to help support your Vancouver Island Raiders. It's under 5 minutes until we're back with the second half. Lots of time to grab a burger, hot dog, nice cold beverage, 50-50 tickets. And don't forget, you can support the Raiders all year long by wearing your VI Raiders swag. It's available to you now underneath the blue awning at the end of the grandstand.
Hi, Mom.
Kick off, team! Kick off!
Welcome back inside Caledonia Park in Nanaimo, and absolutely gorgeous. And I can't stress to you enough, it is an unbelievably perfect day weather-wise here in Nanaimo. Everyone at the park is raving about how gorgeous it is, and maybe wasn't quite as beautiful of a first half on the field. A little bit sloppy from these two teams at times, but we saw some fantastic plays. And what we ultimately came out with was the home side leading this game 14-7. My name is Dominic Abassi, Paul Short by my side. Thanks so much for joining us here on BCFCTV.com this week, brought to you by Kahunaverse Sports. The stats for the first half break out like this. The Vancouver Island Raiders, 171 yards on the ground, 100 yards through the air, 271 total yards of offense. Rhett Williams, 13 carries for 129 yards, a big first half for him, included in there a 40-yard rip. Jake LaBerge, this stat line is troubling. 3 of 11 for 100 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. So he's completed an equal number of passes to his team as the other team, and 78 of those 100 yards came on 1 play. So that is concerning trend continuing for the Raiders pivot. 10 first down for the Raiders in the first half. For the Huskers, Julian Whittink, the story, 14 of 20, 221 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 221 yards through the air, 29 on the ground, 10 first downs for the Huskers offense. Their leading rusher, Vaughn Richardson, 7 carries, 26 yards, and Whittink is really spreading the ball around. Poulin has 3 for 35. Shiomo has 4 for 108. Dick, 5 for 68 and a touchdown, as Poulin will bring back the second half kickoff, and flags fly as the Huskers, for now, will start around their own 25-yard line. And Paul, you and I were both just saying, we agreed, I think we could be in for a wild second half here because the feeling out phase is over. It's time to really let loose and play some ball here.
Oh, absolutely. And I think my concern right now is the numbers that Jake LaBerge has put up. You know, 3 of 11?
3 of 11, 3 interceptions.
That's not like him. And
well,
he's the guy that has to have this, finger on the trigger and make this thing go. And that's a concern to me at this point. That was, I guess, a legal block against the Huskers on the return.
So the Huskers will start their first drive of the half down by 7 from their own, inside their own 20-yard line.
And I think the Huskers, to me, this drive right now that they're starting has to be a drive that has to end positively with some points. You want to get something going right off the bat.
High snap, quick throw, incomplete, as McNally Hardesty has found himself absolutely pasted to number 85 in white and green in Anthony Dick, and that is the matchup the Raiders want. It's hard to tell who's getting the better of it, to be honest, because Anthony Dick has 5 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown, but McNally Hardesty has 4 tackles, a blocked kick, a forced fumble, and an interception, and he forced a fumble that took points away from Anthony Dick and the Valley Huskers late in the first half. Yes. So maybe advantage Raiders on that matchup, I don't know. There's a quick pass and a completion on a second down throw into the hands of Nathan Denoyer, but I don't know that he will have enough for the first down.
Yeah, and I think we've got a late hitter
Late
here.
flag here.
Could be a targeting penalty based on the fact that he came in quite late on the play. Not sure who that was on. A rough play against the Raiders. It's unfortunate because they did stop them on second down there, and you take that
so a free first
penalty.
down. As Denoyers makes that catch, that is the 5th different player on the Huskers that has caught a pass today. And, you know, that's pretty impressive ball distribution from Julian Whitting, using all of his offensive weapons.
Yeah, I think once you start spreading it around, and then you got to figure out who's he going to throw to. You know he has Poulin and he's got Dick as his favorites. Well, but from the other side of it, you got to cover everybody. You can't slack off on anybody. You can't double anybody because he does move the ball around the entire field.
There was some conjecture there from the Huskers coaching staff that Vaughn Richardson never hit the turf there, and I might be prone to agree with them, but the referees soundly blowing their whistles and makes it 2nd and 5.
Yeah, I think the officials have been told there's been a couple plays where there's been penalties thrown, in my opinion, because the officials haven't blown their whistle soon enough.
Right.
And
here's a pass wide of Anthony Dix, so it'll bring up a punting scenario on the first drive of the second half.
I find that that's the 3rd time in the game that I've seen today where Poulin and Dick are really close together, and Whitting's trying to force the ball in there, and all 3 of them, and well, 2 have been incomplete. 1 was a completion, but they called Poulin on the interference penalty prior to it. So I'm not sure they were only about 4 yards apart, which you don't want that when you're throwing the ball around the field.
Not many pass pattern route trees that you would draw up would have 2 receivers that close together at the end of the play if it's going well.
That's true.
There's a kick by Ethan Holman, and the ball scoops out of bounds, and Raiders will have decent field position from their own 45 to start this second half. And man, I mean, you may think, hey, why are you picking on Jake LeBerge? It's, leave the kid alone. But look, he's a 3rd-year quarterback, widely considered to be one of, if not the best quarterback in the BCFC. I know Whitting was the all-star this year, but LeBerge has the BCFC championship under his belt from last year. And I think, in my humble opinion, for the Raiders to be a championship caliber contending team this year, Jake LeBerge has to be playing at an elite level, because the team, with all due respect to the likely rushing king, Brett Williams, this offense comes and goes with Jake LeBerge, in my opinion. And in the first 4 games of the season, he was lights out. 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, averaging 240 yards a game. Since then, in the last 6 games, as I said earlier, 14 interceptions, up against 9 touchdowns. So just an alarming number of turnovers being thrown. For a 3rd-year quarterback to be turning the ball over that much is you can't have it.
Yeah, well, somewhere along the line, he lost a bit of confidence in what he used to do best. And
play action to Ablett, and
I think that's
incomplete. First down over the midfield stripe, and that was a perfect pass. And that's what's so confusing and maybe frustrating too about Jake LeBerge, is when he is on, he looks unreal.
Yes. Yeah.
Look at this pass, right on the money.
Yep.
That's a long throw to a far side of the field on an out route. I mean, that's a great ball, right?
Absolutely. And that's what he was doing earlier in the season.
They're going to measure this. I gave him the first down, but they're going to measure it.
He just, for some reason, he's lost a little bit of velocity on his football, I think. And I go back to the injuries. You don't know. Like you can say you're hurt or you're not hurt, but there's little things that the body goes through during a football season. It's a long, long football season, and practicing every night and playing your games. And there's little pieces of muscles that get hurt, that get bruised, and they might interfere with some of the
he's
mechanics.
Short. As they measure this, it's about half a yard that the Raiders are short here.
Yeah, I think they're obviously Coach Hawkins saying we're going for it here.
Right on the midfield stripe.
That's where you put the ball in Williams' hands and let the old lineman just push.
If you can't get a yard, you didn't deserve to get it in the first place.
That's Canadian football anyway. That's
They
for sure.
give you a yard. Yeah, they have to. So.
With the call, 1 foot to go.
So
watching this game from up here today, there doesn't seem to be any excitement, if you will, between the two teams. You know, there
seems to be no dislike. That's
yeah.
You know,
and I think it just doesn't have the same oomph, especially for the importance of this game.
Third down. Keeper, he's got it. Yeah, I think maybe, Paul, it is a matter of nerves, perhaps. Maybe the scope and magnitude of the game, and both of these teams know that they still have something to prove on this season, and they know the importance. Maybe that's it. You're right. I think it's been we've seen some explosive plays, some good plays. There's not a ton of intensity, though. You're right.
Yeah, there's an edge missing.
And the Huskers were a very fired up team in warm-ups as they come with a blitz here on first down. They sling it out to Mike West, and he's going to lose yardage here as Dawson Davis comes in over the top for what will be, I think, his 6th or 7th tackle already of this game, and he's up to about 80 on the season, which is really an incredible number. I don't know what you would know better than me what the record for tackles in a season is. But
well,
it's probably changed. And
yeah, it started out. I think the record is like 72.
Well, he's beyond that in total tackles.
Yes,
but that's adding in special teams and assisted tackles as well.
And they never, at the beginning when they kept the records, they never counted assisted tackles to say, okay, you had 6 and now you got 3 complete tackles.
Right.
They were separate.
Pump fake. Deep pass for Nelms Horton. He tried to come back for it, and he couldn't do it, as there was some nice coverage there by Keyshawn Joseph.
That was a nice pass. That was one that Jake put in his back pocket and say, I'll bring that one.
Brings up third down. You see the pump fake from LeBerge, and Joseph did not bite in coverage.
Yeah, it was a good pass, and it was one of those ones that it's going to be up high enough where Tony White is going to get it. But yeah, the records, some of the records, especially around the defense, because they've added the special team tackles, special team assists, and different things like that. And it's just the record keepers and the here in the BCFC and in the CJFL have to look at what do we want to try to achieve on. Do we recognize assisted tackles? Who has the most assisted tackles, or are they just still called? We say you got 20 tackles, assisted tackles, or are they just 10 added to the other total?
I have to be honest. The tackle might be the worst kept stat. From park to park, you never know what you're going to get. I've seen it, and in no way am I accusing the Huskers and Dawson Davis of this, but I've seen it in years past of sort of tackle plumping at home. In your home park, guys would go on the road and get like 2 tackles, and every home game they'd get 10. And you're like, okay, well, there's got to be something going on there, right?
Yep.
There's a flag here on this.
I think it was no yards.
Which the Raiders have been guilty of a couple of times today. Yeah, again. 5 yards, no yards. Huskers start at their own 40-yard line. Second.
Oh, then they get another unnecessary roughness penalty attack to that. It's a 20-yard penalty.
Oh, boy. Second drive of the second half for the Huskers here. Neither team has been able to get much moving early in this third quarter. Raiders with a 78-yard touchdown pass, LeBerge to Rainey in the middle of the first quarter to take the lead. The Huskers tied the game up late in the second quarter as Julian Wittink led a precision drive down the field. I believe it was 4 completions, 101 yards, and a touchdown to Anthony Dick to cap it off, but the Raiders came right back down the field and got a 5-yard touchdown run by Jake LeBerge to cap off a drive to take the lead into the half. 1st and 10, crowd gets as loud as they've been all day, but the Raiders jump offside, and Wittink just spikes the ball into the ground. And isn't that the way the defense was pumping the crowd up, and there was a little buzz coming from the stands, and then the defense jumped offside.
Yeah, that was smart on Whittick's point, just to throw the ball on the ground.
Well, you don't want to take a hit for no reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that was offside against the Raiders. Sometimes I wonder why we could see it. I'm sure the officials saw it. And then you have to have a long conference talking about it. You know,
yeah, I don't just call it.
Yeah. Oh, they call it on
double.
both.
Okay, well, there you go.
Right, so
that's
down
why
over.
Double offside.
So
wouldn't somebody have had to have gone offside first? How can they both be offside?
well, the defender can get back before the ball is snapped, and the offensive guy, once he's moving, he's moving. Like if he's across the line of scrimmage, so it's a slot back, obviously, because I didn't see the slot back
Denoyer
offside,
was, yeah.
but Denoyer on the end was offside. So
maybe lined up offside. I don't know. So it's 1st and 10 over again. Again, the crowd gets loud here. Whittick will throw. Time on the money for Poulin. And the former Grant Park Pirate hauls that in. He's up over 1,600 all-purpose yards on this season, the league's leading pass catcher. Grant Park Pirates, of course, that is the high school in Winnipeg where Andrew Harris actually started his career, although he transferred in his senior year to Oak Park. And that was, I believe, too, I was actually reading an article about it this morning because I have no life, about how that was, he was one of the most last real famous guys before they changed the transfer rules in Manitoba high school football. And I would imagine that Grant Park wasn't overly enthused about having him for 2 years and then losing him to Oak Park in his senior year, that inevitably, you know, was the high school senior year of a guy who is now arguably the best running back in the CFL.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I know that he ripped it up in high school, but I wasn't sure at what school.
Grant Park and Oak Park. Came out to the Raiders as an Oak Park grad. Here's a pass for Dick, and he goes to get it. And that's a good gain. And there is Jeremy Chang
out there, yes.
Back on the field, but losing that battle to Anthony Dick. And he has a good gain and a first down into Raider territory.
Just a deep out, just catch the ball. Again, one of those passes that Whittick throws that it's either on the ground or out of bounds, or catches it. Mind you, he didn't have to do that in the first quarter there. He threw a couple to the other color.
Here's an underneath handoff to Poulin. Spins for a short gain, and a flag comes in.
Not sure what that is. That looked like it's probably a hold from where it came from.
It's a holding flag.
Yeah.
8 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
There's been something the Huskers don't do much.
58's going to get called for that hold right there. Liam McCormick grabbed the outside of the shoulder pad.
Yeah, Huskers and Kamloops are the least penalized teams in the league, but Valley's had a lot of penalties today.
Big thanks to Wendy for tweeting at us, letting us know where she's tuning into the game from today and enjoying.
Well, there's one person out there anyway, Dom.
There's at least, well, hey, there's a couple. We've had a couple tweets today and a couple texts as well. So big thanks to everybody tuning in. We'd love to hear from you. Send us a message at Dom Abassi on Twitter, or you can get at us through the BCFC Facebook page as well. Love to hear from you. So after the holding call, 1st and 20. And now it's going to be 1st and 25 on the false start.
Yeah, just a little bit. Sometimes your linemen they're starting to walk on their heels, and the only thing you can do is get your hands up, and then it's going to be an easy penalty to call for the officials.
I don't know. I never went offside.
Well, games change. Games changed a lot to where
the tape might say otherwise, but I don't think I ever did.
No, when you played, it was just all wrong.
Well, we had Andrew Harris and Jaden Smith.
Yes.
So, yeah, we did a lot of running. Yeah. And we had Lauren Plant on the offensive line, who was a CFLer for a number of years after his Raider career. throwing up the seam. McNally Hardesty again. Unbelievable game from this young man. His second pick of the day. He's got over 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, a blocked kick, and a forced fumble. There's your defensive player of the week in the BCFC. I'd like to see anybody top this performance.
He's had a great game so far. You see on the replay, again, it's just when he wants to, he puts it over the middle. He sees who he wants to throw to, puts Mariner, but allows the defenders, because it's got a little bit of air under it, to just intercept them. They're coming from their own zones, cross zones, to make those picks.
3rd interception of the day for Wittink, and I don't think we should be overly surprised by that, because with all the prolific passing he's done this season, he has thrown an interception in every game. And this is the 6th game out of 10 this year that he's throwing multiple interceptions.
Yes. Yeah, and that's going to happen. Like you say, when you put the
throw
ball
that
in the air,
much,
it's going to be intercepted.
He averages 33 pass attempts a game, so that is a lot.
That's a lot for a tremendous amount for junior football. And this year we've got 3 quarterbacks that are throwing over 2,000 yards, and it's only happened 2 other times in the history. I think it was 2012 and 2014.
Well, Wittink and LeBerge are going to go over. As LeBerge throws, there's flags down. Nelms Horton goes up to get it, but my guess is this is coming back.
Yeah, it's a hold.
As Eli Nelms Horton goes up to get it over Desmond Jeanson, but his enthusiasm will be short-lived.
Again, good pass. You can see on the replay, just sets his feet.
Look at the time, steps up in the pocket.
Lots of time, puts it up high, and he's
right
a tall
on the money.
receiver. Go up and get the football.
And the Belmont grad, Nelms Horton pulls that down. Every time there's a really high caliber rookie or recruit that comes out of Victoria, I always wonder how did the Rebels miss that guy,
Yeah.
How do you not pick him up? But of course, kids have their choice.
Yep.
And same with McNally Hardesty. He's a Mount Doug grad. I'm sure the Rebels would kill to have him wearing their colors.
Absolutely.
Huge hole left side. Williams is going to scamper here on 2nd down and 20, and he's got the 1st down into Husker territory. And again, a flag comes out way behind the play.
I'm not sure what that, it's got to be a hold or legal block.
It's going to be unnecessary roughness, but I think after yards gained, I don't know if the screen will capture it here. Devin Nelms Horton, way behind the play, cleaned out a defensive lineman. It was not a block from behind that I saw, but they're going to call it a block in the back. It was way away from the play. It was more in one of those ear holes where you're trying to pick a guy off.
Yeah, and those are things that they're trying to clean up.
Which
and
I
get
think
out of the game.
I will never agree with that myself, but we always used to say, if you're on the field and the play is happening, head on a swivel.
Absolutely.
Because you could be cleaned out at any time.
Yep. No, I don't disagree with you. I just think the way the game is changing, the concussion issue is huge.
Yep.
And we've got to address those, and the only way you can address it from a field standpoint is to eliminate those type of hits all
Either way,
together.
that is a killer penalty. It was 2nd and 20. Rhett Williams went for about 30. Now it's 2nd and 30 now.
Yeah, 2nd and 30, yes.
The Raiders scrimmaging from about their own 20. They need to get up to the 50, and they're going to get sacked instead as Jake LeBerge goes down on the backfield. Daniel Mills coming on the blitz out of the defensive secondary. And the Raiders will punt on 3rd and half the field.
Yeah, he just comes from the top of the screen, and because there was the fake, there's nobody there for the backside protection, and it's just you got to throw the football very quickly on a play like that.
How costly are penalties, Paul? Man,
huge.
This should have been 1st and 10 in Husker territory.
Well, the place where I find the penalties really hurt are when our teams here in BC go outside the province to play. And
Hunchak doesn't get one of his better kicks off here, too. And Poulin's going to return this.
Oh, that was good coverage. Very
coverage.
good coverage.
As you were saying.
But in teams like from the prairies, if you look at the stats that come out, there's not a lot of penalties that happen in those games, and it could be the way the officials officiate the games.
I think they're just better coached and more disciplined, with all due respect.
Absolutely, I do too. And I think that's where we struggle when we step outside province, because we take some silly penalties because we're so used to doing them here and continue to do them here, that they take advantage of it, and your opportunity to be in a game or to win a game, slowly diminishes, because the Prairie teams really know how to take advantage of field position.
Winning. Deep. Intercepted. Who is that? Oh, my goodness.
That's his third today.
Oh.
It's
almost silly at this point now. And even worse for the Huskers here is that Anthony Dick has not gotten up off the field yet. And the trainers are going to run out to attend to him. McNally Hardesty just stopped throwing the ball in his direction. That is a fantastic pick as he came up over the top, avoided the pass interference call to pull that in. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought
what a game.
Forced that a little bit, because he could see definitely coverage was there, but
well, I don't hate putting the ball up to a jump situation with Anthony Dick. I don't think that's really a bad call at all, but if it's number 7 guarding him, think again.
Yes.
But the problem again here is the fact that Anthony Dick has not gotten up off the field yet.
Yeah, I think that maybe he's up. Just maybe as he was coming down, McNally Hardesty with the interception going over top of him, and as he came down the ground, he maybe just twisted a knee a little bit, or it kind of looked like a leg injury for sure.
Well, he seems to be under his own power here to an extent, so that's good. Back-to-back drives that have ended in interceptions by Givan McNally Hardesty. Raiders starting around their own 10 here. So the league's leader in touchdown catches, touchdowns overall with 11, needs a bit of help to get off to the sidelines. Interception, turn the ball over. Raiders now a fresh set of downs from their own 10-yard line. Late stages, third quarter. We've yet to see any scoring in this unreal juke and jive from Rhett Williams, and a flag for a late hit is going to go add 15 here.
Yeah, I think that's definitely unnecessary roughness at the end there. It's 29.
Look at this. Rhett Williams looked like you won't see the move that sprung him there, but it looked like Rhett Williams was dead to rights, but the Huskers blew their containment when he stopped.
Yeah, I think, and that's similar to what Rhett has done on all his long runs today. He's just attacked just the tackle area and is able to get outside. And the Huskers haven't been able to come up with an answer defensively to contain him.
He's got to be
close to 200.
Close to 200 yards on the day.
We haven't had a 200-yard rusher in the league in a couple of years.
He had a 20-plus yard gain called back as well on a penalty, and he's going to go for big yards here as well. There's the first down. There's 20 yards, 25 into Husker territory as the Weyburn, Saskatchewan veteran is putting on a show right now in his final regular season junior football game. Rhett Williams is making a statement, and I said before that Kelton Curry had a chance to maybe steal that rushing crown from him, but that Sun running back is going to have a huge day to do that.
Absolutely,
tonight against the Rebels.
I'm sure they'll be pounding the rock tonight for that. But yeah, Rhett's having a great game. You see he's hurt. You can tell he gets up from the piles.
Here's a broken play. And LeBear's just going to throw that away.
That one made the line of scrimmage, so that's another one of those small rule changes that allowed the quarterback to do that as long as the ball crossed the line of scrimmage. But yeah, no, Rhett's he's having a great game. He's worthy of his all-star recognition.
He is over 200 yards. He's up to 218.
For him.
And thanks to Heather Foster, the BCFC statistician, for passing that along. 218 yards rushing, and we're only in the third quarter. LeBerge looking deep for Jared Braun. Incomplete. Good battle down the field and some nice coverage by Josh Robinson.
Yeah, it was good. No call there. It was good on the official. Had a little bit of hand fighting.
We haven't talked much about Josh Robinson today, but second year, of course, guess where he's from? Winnipeg. Represented the Huskers and the BCFC on the Team Canada at the World Junior Football Championship down in Mexico earlier this year.
Yeah, they had Keegan Vicklin as well was
That's
on that
right.
team. And
I don't think Vicklin is dressed today, is he? Well, he's on the roster, but we haven't seen him touch the ball yet. Hunchak's going to punt here and corner this beautifully. Oh, what a great kick. Out of bounds inside the 10. He's trying to show off for mom and dad who are in town today from Saskatchewan. We actually got a tweet from Peggy, who is tuning in from Prince Albert, and they are not very happy with us today because it is -10 and windy in Prince Albert right now.
Oh, don't take your chihuahuas there. Oh,
And,
man.
you wouldn't know, not a chance. And instead, here today, I mean,
We're up here in short sleeves.
it is
I could have worn
gorgeous.
shorts today. It's
I actually
gorgeous.
lamenting the fact that I wore pants today. My jeans, I'm too warm. I'm sorry to tell you that to all of our Prairie viewers, but there's a nice tackle by 22-year-old Brody Taylor, a John Barsby Nanaimo product, engulfing
Lots of
Vaughn
whistles going
Richardson
here.
as they're trying to break up a little hand fighting in the middle there. It is currently at the Nanaimo Airport, which is about 20 minutes south of where we are, but it is 17 degrees right now.
And I bet you up here it's 23,
It
24.
feels it, yeah, it is. Our camera guys are taking off their sweaters, and it is just a gorgeous day. Perfect fall football.
Oh, yeah, if you know, you can bring the dogs out, chihuahuas out here, walk around the track a little bit.
Second
some
and 9.
exercise.
Whittink, what a pass. Perfect pass. First down, big gain over the 35.
Chobo on that
Remy
one. That's just a
Chobo.
great. Another one of those ones they
That
put
is
them
a-
up and guys just catch them. And
That's a touch of class, that pass there. Look at the way he drops this into the seam. The perfect amount of air on it. That was a really pretty ball from the former Manitoba Bison to another former Manitoba Bison.
that's true. Yeah, there's a connection there, especially with Coach Reese playing down there, captaining their team, and coming back home to coach the Huskers.
Fresh set of downs at the 40. Whittink. He's going to go deep. He's got a man. Incomplete.
Yeah, a lot of hand fighting on that one. It's,
Boy, the Huskers have a case here. That was Jacob Penner. Yeah, that was pass interference.
it was pretty close. Moran had good coverage on it. It's just
If we get the replay here, you'll see. Was it Isaiah Johns?
it was 42, I believe.
Oh, Ethan Moran.
Moran.
You couldn't see it on that angle, but Moran pulled his arm down there. I think that's a call myself, but
Yeah, okay. So the ball's up for grabs in my opinion, and as long as you don't tilt the head or, really grab, you should be able to go for it.
2nd and 10. Whittink for Poulin. It's dropped. Arabsky had it in his hands. Would have been his second of the day, but it's third down either way.
Yeah, I think on that one, as Poulin saw Rossby coming across, he went down so he wouldn't get whacked, and Rossby, probably out of the corner of his eye, said, I don't want to hit him. And
Better play the ball.
Yeah.
Well, we saw Arabsky absolutely decleat Poulin earlier in this game, and Poulin jumped up right away. It was no worse for wear, but he got hammered.
yeah.
Bob Reist is hot on that Husker sideline too, and he's right beside the ref that didn't call that PI as well. So
Yeah, Coach Reese is known for his outbursts, if you will. I got a flag. That might be too many men. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
ball's fumbled by
many
Jared
men.
Braun. Now he picks it up.
That's going to be too many men against the Raiders. That'll give the Huskers a first down.
Wow, another really poor penalty by the VI Raiders. Doug Hawking. Well, you hate to be the special teams coach when that happens, and Hawk just kind of turns around with the hand on the hips. That's when you wish there was a hole.
Yeah, no kidding.
Doug Hawking was a prolific special teams player in his CFL career.
That gives them the first
Wow,
down.
a first down instead of a punt. And this drive that started several minutes ago back on the 10-yard line will get a restart around their own 45 thanks to a too-many-men penalty, and the defense back on for some unnecessary snaps as well, too.
Yeah.
You never like to do that.
And as you get later in the season, too, because of injury, some starters have to be on special teams, so sometimes their mind is saying, I'm out, I'm in, and some guys just don't change. And
that's a good point, too, though, because on first down after the penalty, they'll hand off to Richardson, and he's got a nice 6 to 7 yard gain, maybe 8 actually. In the playoffs, you're only allowed to dress 40 players.
Correct. Yeah, this year going up to 45.
Okay, 45. But in the regular season, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 55.
Yes.
Right? So that's where you see in the playoffs starters playing on special teams way more commonly. It's not very, it happens a bit in the regular season, but that's where you like to get the depth guys for some reps.
Yeah, and even the
second down handoff, and the Huskers aren't going to get it.
You step outside of province.
As Cox and Hill step up in the middle.
Play downs, it's only 40 guys. So you've got how you adjust your bench, and your backups is very, very important moving forward from here on out. Because now you got to cut your bench down.
Matthew Cox involved in that tackle. He is the Raiders' team leader in total tackles this season.
They're going to go for this here. That's surprising. You're down by 7. I think I'd be punting the football here and not going for this one. Obviously, I'm wrong if they get the first down.
They went for it, and incomplete. Turnover on downs, and the Huskers have thrown 4 interceptions, a fumble, and 2 turnovers on downs. So that's 7 turnovers today.
You don't win many games turning the ball over that many times.
And the Raiders will start the fourth quarter with the ball and a 7-point lead. Thanks so much for joining us here today at bcfctv.com. Dominic Abassi, Paul Short, brought to you today by Kahuniverse Sports, the first of a triple header to wrap up the regular season in the British Columbia Football Conference. 4 o'clock kickoff in the Loops, Hillside Stadium. The Broncos trying to avoid a winless season, but the Langley Rams looking like a heavyweight coming in there on a 5-game winning streak. Not the team you want to see when you're 0-9. I don't know which team you do want to see at that point, but as Jared Braun chopped out by Jeanson, but about a 10-yard gain from Braun, and that'll move the sticks.
That's pretty close.
Jared Braun, what a utility guy he is. Actually, I think he's leading the league in kickoff return yards. He is. And he's right in the mix for punt returns as well.
He's had some good returns today.
He doesn't get a lot of credit. You talk about Nelms Horton, Mike West, North Rainey, Rhett Williams, but he's a real solid player too, a veteran. And I believe a local product as well.
That might be a face mask against the Huskers. Yeah, so that'll 15 yards to the end of that run. Another good run by Williams. He's having himself a good day today. At the right time, that's you want your running game to be, running smoothly as you get into the playoff time. And
it's a must.
It's huge because the weather's going to change at some point, and you're not going to be able to throw the football with such authority as you do today with this sunshine out.
1st and 10, 25-yard line of the Huskers. LeBear's play action. He's got a scramble. He throws to nobody. The closest player there, or person there, was the referee, or people in the first row of the beer garden down there. And that's what, 3rd time today we've seen Jake just say, okay, it's not there. Throw it away.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you're taught. as a quarterback, your coaches are always telling you it's got to be in his hands or in the stands. And when you start trying to place it in.
That's catchy.
Yeah, I think it's one of those coaches that likes rhyming and stuff like that. But yeah, I think once you start to try to force it in, and that's when the interceptions happen, and you put too much air under the ball.
2nd and 10. Two backs will help in pass protection. Huskers bring 4-man pressure. LeBerge is going to run. He's going to have to break tackles to get it, and he won't. As he goes down, Tristan Fournier in the area, so a field goal attempt.
It's important points because the Huskers haven't really generated any offense this second half. And
this is interesting, Paul. The Raiders, as a team, have attempted 8 field goals this season.
That's it?
That's it.
Wow.
Jacob Normore is 2 for 4, and Eli Nelms-Horton, who will kick here, is 2 for 4 as well. So this is their 9th field goal attempt of the season in Week 10. And it is not good. Plenty of distance, so it'll be 1 point, but
it's a big
pushed
point.
It wide right. Single point puts the Raiders up 8.
That was the point is big as well because you get in a situation here with the last 13 minutes of the game. The Huskers, if they do score, they got to go for 2 just to tie it. So
Huskers are going to take the ball on their own 35 instead of the kickoff here.
Yeah, maybe it's the weather too. Both teams seem lethargic, and it is warm on the field.
Well, the Huskers, I don't blame them. Their day started at about 5 a.m. They were up and on the bus driving down.
So they didn't stay overnight.
They did not come in last night. So they were up at 5 a.m., traveled down the Highway 1, caught the ferry, and they were here probably not too far ahead of game time as Whittink on a design QB run gets a handful. So their day, started at 5 a.m., and that's a tough road trip. Long day to sit on that bus from the valley, and then you're on the ferry, and you got to try and get a proper meal in, but you're not going to do that on a BC ferry.
No, they've got some good meals, but they're just not
conducive to playing a football
game. That's for sure. For the coaches, it's great.
Totally. 2nd and 6. Big down here for the Husker offense, which has not generated anything at all in this second half. Raiders have made some adjustments and clamped down. And this pass incomplete. What great coverage there. Ethan Moran.
He knocked that ball away.
Slapping that ball down. So the Huskers this half on offense, 5 possessions, 2 punts, including this one pending, a turnover on down, and 2 interceptions.
Wow. It's not the team that's been playing over the last couple of weeks, that's for sure. But again,
the Huskers put up 52 last week in West Shore.
Yeah.
23 against the Rebels the week before that. So they put up 49 against the Broncos. Yeah,
they just seem to be just a little lack of something. I'm not sure if it's focus today or.
Holman with the punt.
It's not bad.
Kicks it towards Jared Braun. This is going to bounce its way down. Ooh, nice hole. Good blocks. Jared Braun. And Chiomo makes the touchdown saving tackle. And the Raiders will start well inside Husker territory with just over 10 minutes to go in this fourth quarter and an 8-point lead.
Yeah, he took that punt return, and while the ball's on the ground, everybody.
It was like the Huskers were more concerned about not taking a no-yard penalty than they were being in position.
And I think that's what the Canadian game does that on a punt like that. When the ball touches the ground, you don't want to get within the 5-yard restraining zone, and it allows the returner and the blocking to set things up and knock guys down, and that's just find a hole and run.
A 5-yard penalty would have been a lot more palatable than what ended up being a 40, 35-yard return. Here's Rhett Williams. Look at him go. 10 more. He's got to be up to 250 now.
Again, just one of those days for Rhett where he's got the little RPO happening, where the run-pass option, and they're looking at the defensive end, and what he's going to do is he comes up field they're going to give the ball to Rhett, and he's already now into the second level by the time the linemen are in front of him have made their blocks on the first level of guys.
The Huskers, you know, despite the fact they won last week, they gave up 218 yards rushing, almost 500 yards of offense to the West Shore Rebels. And Williams, again, close to 10 yards. And he's just saying, this is too easy now.
That's another good run, another 10-yard run. And
it's right. I mentioned the yards last week. It's actually really bizarre. The Huskers got outgained in that game 475 to 207, and they won 52-38.
But there were 2 touchdowns were on kickoff returns and a fumble return, so 21 points coming off of turnovers and kick game.
Rhett Williams, we are told, is on 250 yards rushing for the day right now.
Good on him.
He came into this game with 692. So he's almost put up like 50% of his season production here today. And at the start of action, he had a 52-yard lead on Kelton Curry in the rushing title race, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Williams is already the all-star running back, winning that award over Curry, and Max Joseph was the other all-star running back as well. But Curry now needs to put up 300 yards tonight to try and take the rushing crown away. At the very least.
There's still more
at
game
least,
here.
You're right, yeah. 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, with him going over 200, the only other player this year that's gone over 200 is Max Joseph. Yeah, I think he put up 226 or something against the Rebels a few weeks ago. And we don't see that too often anymore because the game's evolving to more passing league. So it's 200 yards is a good accomplishment for these running backs.
Triple play action. LeBears runs, and he's got nobody where he wants, and he's going to go down. Sacked in the backfield, although that might not go down as a sack. Matthew Beaudry there. I don't think they're going to award him a sack as LeBears was a runner at that point.
I don't know. I think the statisticians, they make this stuff up sometimes, and you could say it's a run. It's not. I'm just bugging Heather. But
is it a sack? Was that a sack? Yeah, it's a sack. She'll call it it was an 8-yard loss, I guess. Yeah, he's nowhere near the line of scrimmage. Fine. I agree. I think it was a sack, too. Matthew Beaudry deserved the stat there.
All good defensive linemen, even if the quarterback's moving forward and he's talking behind the line of scrimmage,
all out blitz on 2nd and long, and a prayer to the end zone. A nice defensive play by North Rainey to knock the interception out of the hands of Trayvon Walsh, who already has an interception today, and he was counting his stars that he had that, and then Rainey played defender and knocked them down.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to be once the ball's like that and you don't have a chance to catch. Now you become
all out blitz by the Huskers on a 2nd and long there.
Another field goal try here, be about a 30-yarder by
Nelms Horton. Missed last drive.
And Poulin deep, so
he's got the leg easily. And this one's missed too. Shanked that one. Poulin is going to bring this out, and he's got a little green space now. He gets squeezed out of bounds.
Yeah, the ball come out to the 20. He got it out
another
there.
missed field goal. And that's costly.
It is very costly.
Instead of being up now 20-7, the Raiders are up 15-7, and those were 2 makeable field goals.
Absolutely. At least you want to come away with a point on it, and then it changes the complexion of the game into 2 scores instead of 1 score. But now it's still a 1 score and a 2-point conversion here can tie the game. Although the tie doesn't help any of these teams. It would cost the Huskers more than it would cost the Raiders. But the Huskers need to win this one out, and they hope that the Rebels could knock off the Sun tonight, and that dropped the Sun to 3rd place, and the Huskers would host the Sun next week.
Fawn Richardson tackled shortly after the line of scrimmage. Really, really have to give credit to the Raider defense for the way they've played really all game, but especially in this second half. 7 turnovers they've forced.
The defensive backs have been playing great. They haven't had a lot of pressure on Whittink, but their defensive backs have great coverage.
Jeremy Chang, Guy Van McNally Hardesty, both all-stars. They've been fantastic today. I got to be honest, I voted for Sean Arabsky as an all-star too. I think he is, if not, him and Ty Kitzman are kind of 1-2 for those safeties. Oh, and there's Chiovo just dropping a pass wide open. And that's going to force a punt. I think Arabsky has an edge over Kitzman for the Sun. That's my personal opinion. You could accuse me of a bias. I see Arabsky a lot more often than I see Ty Kitzman play, and I really respect Ty Kitzman. Think he's a fantastic veteran player in this league. But if Arabsky maybe a touch more dynamic.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you're trying to pick just 12 guys, the 12 best in the league, it's difficult because every team has 2 or 3 defensive backs that are just tremendous. So now that's 18 guys, and you got to find 5. Same with linebackers. Everybody's got 2 or 3 that are just great. So it's difficult, and a lot of it does come into the how often do you see a team. You get to know these guys, and you watch them as they play. So it's difficult to choose, very difficult to choose. And you don't want to choose it just by looking at stats, because then anybody can choose them. Then you want to have people that watch the games.
But inevitably, I love that they have the coaches voting and the way they give their votes more weight. I really love that. Because, again, you're right. Those are the guys who know the players. They watch the film. Because I know this league better than most, and so do you. But even still, a lot of what I have to judge on, and I voted, I think you voted as well, a lot of what we have to judge on is the stats. You know, because let's be honest, I'm not going to sit at home and review the film and break it down. I don't think my wife and 2 kids are going to appreciate that much, right? But, you know, it's tough. It is a lot stat-based. It really is. But and then the coaches, they try to be unbiased, but they've got the bias for their guys too. It's
absolutely,
you know, so it's I think it's the best it can be, but it's always going to be flawed. But maybe the beauty of it too is that it is arguable.
Yeah, I think
it creates the debate. You know,
and it's important in the junior football circles to talk about it, because the more you talk about it, then more solutions come forward that how we can improve on it.
Well, and the more you're promoting not only the All-Stars, but the guys who could have been or should have been.
Yeah.
Right? This week I've heard so much talk about Rayshon Provo and Cody Holmes from the West Shore Rebels as 2 guys who were, in a lot of minds, really snubbed. Yeah. Right? So now everyone's talking about them even though they weren't on the list.
Yes. Yeah. And I know there's been talk. The Prairies have a rookie team.
Right.
That's something that has gone around the BC's.
Well, what do you call a rookie, though, right?
Well, yeah, that's true.
Because the Huskers, technically, Poulan, Dick, and Widdink are all rookies, technically in the BCFC, but they're all university caliber players.
But from a
look at this. Rhett Williams again with another
10-yard run.
10-yard rip.
The guys that come down from college technically cannot be in the running for CJFL Rookie of the Year based on the fact that they played a higher level of football other than high school or community below junior. And that's what the idea of the Rookie of the Year is those guys that come up the first year into junior football. And even though you haven't played junior football before, but you've played a higher level of football when you go to the CIS.
Rhett Williams is over 260 yards now on the day.
Yeah,
and there's another 10, and there's another 15. It's just unbelievable. Right now, this Raider O-line is just parting the seas.
And it's all the left side of the O-line.
Tackle.
Yeah, all left side running.
And look at Rhett Williams just said, feed me, keep that ball coming. And I think that left side is where Trayvon Weasel Traveler is, and he is an all-star offensive lineman. Some would say the best offensive tackle in this league, although, again, very arguable.
Because he won it in 15 or 16?
He has won it before. He's a 5th-year guy. I'm not sure if it was last year. And so Williams goes off left side there again. 5 minutes to go. This drive is chunking off clock as well.
And a man down here.
And there is Weasel Traveler.
He's traveling down.
He is a big, big man.
And he's good.
Very, very technically sound.
But the entire all-star stuff, I think it's fair, like you say. You know, the system that's used right now is fair. But it's just, always going to leave some guys out. Always leave some guys out. I can remember one year the top offensive players in the country, offensively, all were quarterbacks. And when the CGFL banquet, when they announced the All-Star team, the All-Star quarterback, who was also the outstanding quarterback, is the All-Star guy. So the other two right away know that they didn't make it, and their teams were choked. They got after the CGFL media guy who was in charge of it, and they were quite aggressive. That why? So CGFL tried to massage some of the rules to make it easier, I guess, to identify. But the ideal thing would be one conference have a quarterback as the outstanding guy, another one's a running back, another guy's a receiver. Then they all make the team, and you're not gonna know until you pull out the ballots to see who the outstanding guys are.
Flags fly in. 3 different flags came in right at the end of that play as LeBerge had a carry, and he's involved in a jawing match with, I think, Desmond Jeanson. Let's see the replay here.
Yeah, I think that was a late hit. It could be a helmet-to-helmet hit, because when he goes down there, he's already down.
Oh,
that's the shot. Jeanson took the shot right on the...
That's going to be a penalty all day.
And if they call targeting here, there's a possibility.
Could be ejected, yeah.
They are calling targeting, so that's going to have to be looked at by the league to determine if it was malicious or not, and it could cost him a play-in next week. But that'll be all put together and hopefully looked at this week by the BCFC.
That's going to be a penalty all day, every day.
Absolutely, and it boils down to it's either going to be a targeting where you look at it as, did he try to maliciously hit this quarterback, or you could have called it a UR. So end result is if it's a targeting, so now it has to be investigated by the league to see if it was indeed a malicious attack to a vulnerable football player. 1st
and goal from the 1. Raiders looking to put a big-time insurance score on the board here. They'll hand it off to Williams. He goes up and over and in, and what has been an absolutely dominant day on the ground for the 22-year-old is capped off with, at this point, what looks like potentially a game-securing touchdown.
Now your emotions are flying up here. And this is just up the middle, and as soon as he had the football where he was, stretch it out over, break the plane, touchdown. But now the emotions are running high based on that targeting penalty. A little too late for some of them.
Only took us 55 minutes.
Yeah.
They got some real heat in this game.
So that makes the score 22-7 with 5:20 to go. We'll see how the Huskers react here on the ensuing kickoff.
You are watching BCFCTV.com, brought to you by Kahuniverse Sports today. Dominic Abassi, Paul Short by my side. A big thanks to all of you tuning in, and to all of you who have tuned in all season long. We're very appreciative of you supporting the league and the teams. And Rhett Williams is, man, what a day. Just unbelievable stuff from him. I mean, again, there's 2 more games to come. Anything can happen, but I would take a very boldly colored pencil and pencil in Rhett Williams and Guy Van McNally Hardesty as your offensive and defensive players of the week. I mean, you're up to near 300 yards rushing and a touchdown, and you're talking about 5 tackles, 3 interceptions for me? Yeah, 3 interceptions, a forced fumble, and a blocked punt. What's the defensive point on that?
Yeah, no, it's a good afternoon for him. And
that's a good half a season.
Yeah, true, yeah. And I think for Rhett, it's just kind of like maybe he just at one point said to Coach Hawk, he says, give me the rock, get on my back, this is where we're going.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's worked out because Jake hasn't been on target with a lot of his passes today, and Rhett's just picked it up.
Jake LeBerge was 3 of 11 in the first half, and can peek over here right now. He has thrown 8 passes in the second half, and he's competed 3 of them. So he's 6 for 19 passing on the day.
Boy, that's not a Jake LeBerge
and 3 interceptions. He does have one rushing touchdown and one passing touchdown. But it has been Rhett Williams in the offensive line and the Raider defense. The stories today. Whitting, bullet pass, that's on the money. DeAndre O'Connor, so that is the 6th, by my count, different Husker to catch a pass today.
This is where I don't see Dick on the field, so O'Connor's probably in taking his spot.
Anthony Dick left with a lower body, looked like potentially a right leg or ankle injury. Yeah. What is his left? We'll call it lower body.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
And he has not returned here. Whitting, right side, and that's incomplete for Denoyer. 4:15 on the clock. So when you start looking at the standings, let's play the probabilities here. The probabilities say that the Sun will win tonight, which would put them in first place.
Yep.
Even greater probability says the Rams will win. That puts them in second place. If the Raiders take care of their business for the final 4 minutes here, and this is a big play, 2nd and 10, incomplete. Punt team's going to have to come on here, I think. So that would put the Raiders at 12 points. They're going to leave the offense on here.
Yeah, surprise. Well,
tied
score
with the Huskers in points, but the Raiders will win the point differential.
Yes.
So Raiders 3rd,
they go to
Huskers 4th. So we're looking at, by probabilities, Sun hosting Huskers, Rams hosting Raiders. And that's, by the laws of probabilities, your first-round playoff matchups. There's a pass on third down, incomplete.
And a turnover.
And a turnover on downs. The 8th turnover of the day for the Husker offense. And that all but does it here. And Paul, let me run down the second half on offense for the Huskers. Punt, interception, interception, turnover on down, punt, punt, turnover on down.
Well, you also have to credit the Raiders defense.
Of course.
This high-powered offense from the Valley comes in, and they got a bit of a swagger. They're playing good ball. They were 0-8 for the last 3 years, and they go now they're 6 and coming in here 6-3.
0-10.
Yeah, 0-10. Sorry.
Yeah.
31 games without a victory, and then they turn it around this year. They get the first one after the 31
Flag comes
games
in late here
against the Raiders, and that sort of kick-started their year. It said, hey, we can do this. But the Raiders took care of business today. They limited Whitting to his throwing. They allowed him to complete some passes, but they picked off, was it four interceptions?
The Raiders, too, defensively had, they're riding a 2-game losing streak. They gave up 31 at home to the Sun. 31. Then they gave up 47 to the Rams. Or 27, excuse me. 47 to the Sun, 27 to the Rams in back-to-back games. So talking about over 70 points given up in back-to-back games. The Raider defense had something, I think, to prove. The way they played today, this sure looked like it. Is a 2nd and long here is going to be
it looks like
2nd and a little less long, as the Huskers were offside. And, there's been a lot of talk this week, too. Howie's there, and when I interviewed him, he went out and said, my Langley Rams have the best defense in the CJFL, he says. Which I said, okay, well, that's a bold statement.
Very bold statement.
Some would argue that the Sun are the best defense in this conference. I don't think you can even get on a national level argument. How do you even compare? Mike West drops a 2nd down pass here, so the Raiders will punt the ball away with 2:50 to go. So the Raiders, I think, had a little something to prove here today, and they've done that, at least defensively and on the ground. But what they have not proved is what's going on with Jake LeBerge.
Yeah, and I think probably from a game planning point of view, because they had lost those last couple of games, that took them out of being able to host a playoff game. And they're probably looking at the next best scenario. So let's go to Langley. Let's beat up on Langley. But we got to win today first. We got to step up and win today. And
well, the Raiders, they barely beat the Rams at home, 35-34, and it took 4 consecutive scores in the final 10 minutes of the game to do it. And then they went on the road to the Rams, and they lost that game 27-10 last week.
Yeah.
So the Raiders and the Rams, you have to say advantage Rams in the regular season, as Poulin will take this off of his own goal line. Oh, makes a nice move. Look out. He's gone. He is gone. One man to beat is the punter. Never mind. I spoke a little too soon maybe here. He won't go. He ran out of steam in a big way there. I got a little ahead of myself. I thought he was gone, but he ran out of steam either way. It's a 65-yard return.
Yes.
And sets up the Huskers. That's the biggest and maybe the only spark of this half for this team on the offensive component of the game.
Yeah, I think that's what, and they've lacked a little bit of that today. They haven't been able to get the return game going. Poulin hasn't had a lot of room to run. Same with Thomas. I think Thomas has only had 1 return.
Yeah. And he had a return touchdown last week.
Yes, yeah, both him and Poulin. But I think the Raiders have done a good job. Hunchuk's punted the ball very well today, and their coverage teams have been tremendous.
Whitting, pump fake over the middle. Poulin incomplete, and really lucky for him he didn't catch that ball.
Yeah, I think he saw
there's a flag
down. Coming downhill pretty quick. He alligator armed that one. Got a legal contact on the receiver against the Raiders. I move ball up 10 yards, first down.
Here's the goal. Legal contact, 46 Raiders. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And the Langley still has a chance to take top spot if the Sun lose this evening. But either way, the Raiders are on the road for playoff game, as are the Huskers. And both tasks are going to be very difficult for both these teams.
Whitting throws incomplete on 1st and 10. We had a question here from Wendy on Twitter. She's wondering, do we know the playoff schedule yet, as in the days? I can tell you almost certainly that the Rams would play Saturday evening, afternoon at home. I would guess that'd be Saturday at 4 o'clock probably, would be my guess. Not to make the Raiders stay overnight.
Yeah, if they're playing the Raiders, it'll be 4 o'clock. But if they're playing the
Huskers, it'll be 7. And then, I don't know, did the Sun, do we know? Have they said Sunday or Saturday? Sunday? Okay, so I have 2 league officials standing beside me, so it's about as certain as we could be. I think it will be a Sunday afternoon. In the Apple Bowl, probably a 1 o'clock kickoff would be the traditional time. I don't think I've ever called or been involved in a playoff game in Kelowna that was not Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Like unless it was a Canadian Bowl,
Yeah, a lot of it's based on who's going where, with ferry travel.
If it is the Raiders at the Rams, typically they try to get that game in so that the Raiders can get home that night.
Yes.
But the league does pay for travel and accommodations in the offseason, in the playoffs. So as Whitting goes incomplete on 2nd down.
But you still want to make sure that, because a lot of these guys they've got school or jobs they got to come back to, and you want to get them home in time so they're not missing too much work or too much schooling. And it's a tough drive. You go over into the interior, going over the Coquihalla connector this time of year, it could be pretty dicey. Mind you, the weather we've got today, it's not going to be like that. It's gorgeous.
3rd down, 10 yards needed. They'll get more than that. Penner pulls that in from Whitting. 1st down.
That looks like about the 20-yard line.
There's 2 minutes on the clock, and the Raiders have a 2-score lead here. Huskers have used some of their timeouts already too, so they're going to go into the hurry up here. Well, this would be a monumental task, but we've seen stranger things. not only at this park this year, but between these two teams as well.
Yes.
Whitting, first down, looking, end zone for Denoyer, incomplete, as both players made kind of disjointed plays on the ball there. In coverage was Isaiah Johns. Denoyer had a hand on it, but couldn't pull it in.
I think, when the Huskers look back on this game, and there'll be situations that they went for it on third down, a turnover on downs, and different things. So you're change how your thinking will be the next game out, that maybe we won't be as reckless. Or you're happy with it. Okay, we did exactly what we needed to do. We just didn't execute.
Incomplete pass there from Whitting. They protected their quarterback well. He's had a lot of time in a really clean pocket, but they have not been able to establish anything on the ground.
Yeah, he's been sacked this year, coming into this game, 7 times.
Wow.
And the Sun are the only team ahead of them who've been sacked 6 times.
That's really impressive.
And conversely, the Rebels, who lead the league, have been sacked 39 times.
Oh.
And the Raiders, I think they're in the 30s as well.
Yeah, the Raiders have not done a good job in pass protection, but they've run the ball very well. Third down here. Huskers need 10 to keep this drive alive. They'll go end zone for Poulin in high traffic, and he's got it. Touchdown for Brandon Poulin and the Valley Huskers in heavy, heavy traffic. He pulls that in. That was an impressive catch. Gutsy stuff there.
So they're going to go for 2 here, I would suspect. I guess it looks like the kick, setting up the kick. They got to go for 2 at some point.
You don't need to go for 2 yet.
22-13. I would suspect we'll see an onside kick tried on the net kickoff, which is good. It gives you an opportunity to practice this stuff before the playoffs if you have to use it. And doing it live is completely different, trying to get it done at practice.
Ethan Holman on for the extra point. Good snap, good hold, good kick. So the score 22-14 with 1:45 to go in this game. Don't go to bed yet. I don't know why you'd go to bed at this time of day, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, the big lady hasn't sung yet. Clearing her throat maybe, but.
How long was that touchdown pass there? 20-yard touchdown pass. Julian Whitting on the money to Brandon Poulin, who will go into the books as the league's receiving champ this year for yardage. That's his 4th touchdown catch of the season.
Yeah, he's pretty close to 1,000 yards receiving, I think, from the game today. At the end, he was 8-10 coming in.
8-10, yeah. I don't think he won't get there.
No, but be there. It's one of those things where a team like the Huskers, when they throw the ball all over the field, you're not going to have anybody that's really out in front. And that's why it's kind of interesting. They got both Dick and Poulin are 1-2 in the league.
Poulin and Dick are 1-2 in the league combined. Have almost 1,500 yards receiving.
Yes.
So yeah, if you think maybe you take one of those guys off the team, then you probably have one of them going over 1,000, right? That onside kick was not really what you're looking for, as it just was booted straight out of bounds. So the Raiders take over with 1:40 on the clock and an 8-point lead, trying to lock this one down, although ultimately not really, all that much on the line per se. I guess you'd rather go to Langley than Okanagan, probably, but
yeah, I
mean, it's kind of a coin toss.
Yeah,
the one thing they do say is it's really hard to beat a team 3 times in a season.
Correct.
And that would be what the Sun would have to do to beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
And the Raiders, with many of these same players, went up to the Apple Bowl last year and won.
Yeah.
And then they went to Victoria and won in West Shore as well.
Yes.
2 games on the road to win the BC title. So they're not going to be phased by being on the road.
No, and Coach Hawk's not going to let anything enter into how he prepares his team. But the same with the Huskers. If the Huskers have to play Langley, Langley's beat them twice this year. Can they beat them the 3rd time?
Sure.
And with Coach Howie, talking about his defense, we saw them give up 28 fourth-quarter points up here earlier in the year, and they have played much better since. They've added a couple guys. So it's going to be interesting. I'm a little worried now if these guys, whoever they play forward, the Valley Huskers, if they're going to be healthy. If they got Dick back, is he going to be ready to go?
Julian Wittink has looked healthy and has not been really physically tested today.
Yeah.
You know, Shane Beatty, and when I interviewed him the last 2 weeks, he said he was gushing over Wittink and his toughness because he said, we pounded that kid. We hit him a lot. We were slamming into the ground, and he just kept getting up. And Wittink has been battling injuries on and off since, especially the second game against the Sun this season.
Yes.
When he left with an injury there. So, and I think he's been kind of day-to-day really ever since. So he's looked healthy today and hasn't really taken too much abuse. And now we have a very disjointed start to this play. So you got Wittink, who looks okay. Poulin seems fine today. Vaughn Richardson as well. But Anthony Dick left this game and has not come back. And he is your league leader and team leader in touchdowns.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully he's okay and he's able to play. You know, he worked hard all year, and
I think you play even if you're not there, you're not healthy. But this is a huge play here. There's 90 seconds left in this game, and the Raiders are looking at second and about 15 here. And if they don't get a first down, the Huskers are going to have time to try and tie this ball game, and they're not going to do it. Mike West doesn't pull it in. So the Raiders are going to have to punt, and barring something crazy, the Huskers are going to have decent field position here as well.
It's interesting. Like you say, we wait 55 minutes for the game to start. Now get on the Huskers. Just hang around. That's the whole thing. Hang around. But I still look at some of the decisions they've made.
Well, they would have given up
in the game. And
got a Husker player on a knee. And the refs are not going to allow that to stop the play. And this will put the Huskers starting from their own 50-yard line, needing a score and 2. And let's see what the all-star quarterback Julian Wittink can do.
Both Dick and Poulin are on the bench,
so no Poulin here either. Okay.
They're going to be doing it with some backup guys. Good time to shine. Here's your chance. The coach said go in. You better be prepared.
So that leaves Remy Chiovo as the top receiver on the field. He's had a good day today. But without Dick, without Poulin, Wittink throws right side, incomplete. Ooh, stay away from number 7.
He's at 83 going right down the middle there. Nathan Stokes was wide open.
Well, we haven't said his name once today, so Wittink wouldn't even, you'd think, be in the habit of looking for that.
Yeah, sometimes when you watch the quarterbacks drop back, they have a predetermined receiver they want to throw to, and they might scan one side of the field, but they're obviously not scanning the full field.
Well, you don't see a lot of junior quarterbacks making 3 reads.
No.
It's usually 1.
Just levels, yeah. This level or the next level, that's it.
2nd and 10. Wittink. And not there. Incomplete. Going to bring up a 3rd down again. Throwing in the area of McNally Hardesty. I think you just got to look somewhere else at this point.
Well, I find it interesting that they've had a lot of success with their passes down the middle, minus the ones that have been intercepted down the middle. But they've had first success at around the 18 to 25-yard range downfield. And these last couple of plays have been trying to get to the outs. And I know that's to work the clock as well, but you got to get the first downs.
3rd down. Ball game right here. Incomplete. Chiomo almost pulled that in, but I think it was Tyler Hill.
Was it Tyler
in
Hill?
Coverage there. And the Raiders will hang on, and barring something really crazy, escape this game with a victory and enter the playoffs in 3rd place. And again, in the book of probabilities, looking at a trip to McLeod Athletic Park in Langley next Saturday.
Yeah, now the coaches, the way they look at film is a little bit different. You got to cut your rosters down. So
here's Rhett Williams. So why not another
run.
10?
Yeah, good for great game.
Man,
great
unbelievable.
Game. But yeah, you're looking at different. What players do we take at the 45? We got 55 guys dressed today. We got to cut 10 down. Who do we leave at home? You know, and you got to make sure you take enough old linemen because those guys, you know, they get banged up all the time. And
6 is scary. You know, traveling with 6 old linemen, you're always nervous.
And some of the guys, you know, do we have a punter and a place kicker different?
Well, the Raiders are lucky in as much as Eli Nelms-Horton, who's been doing their place kicking, is a starting receiver. So they get a double up spot there, but they are also a little unique in the fact that they have a standalone punter.
Yes.
Hunchak punts and that's it, which you don't typically see a lot of. Usually one kicker kind of does it all.
Yeah.
Like Wagner with the Sun.
Yes.
He handles it all. And
so those are the decisions the coaching staff have to make. And
1st and 10, 58 on the clock. Raiders just trying to wind this game out. Flags.
That offside against Huskers. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it because there's going to be some good football played next week. And then ultimately, Cullen Cup the following week. And then the week after that, on November 3rd, the Ontario champion comes to BC and for the national semifinal. And the winner of that heads off to the Prairies, to the Prairie champion for the Canadian Bowl on November 17th. It's going to make for some interesting football over the next little while here. Yeah, Rhett Williams there. Looks like he lost 2 yards, maybe a yard on that play. Yeah, about 2.
All right, here we go.
297 yards rushing on the day for Rhett Williams on, I have 26 carries and 1 touchdown.
Hand him the rock here.
Got to do it. 2nd and 5. Here he goes.
He's got his
and
300.
He does it. There's 300 yards rushing. And the ball game is sealed with that as a late flag comes in.
But I think that's after yards gain. It better be after yards gain.
300 yards rushing.
Good for him. That's awesome.
That is just an incredible performance.
Unnecessary roughness. After yards gain. Yep.
After the play. So the gain stands.
So that puts Rhett Williams over 300 yards today, which is, he just said, get on my back. I'll take you there.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Really.
We got to run him again here. Why not? So we can get up to 400 in one play.
Well, he's not enough field left here, Paul. They're going to take a knee. They'll take one more knee. And then this ball game will be over.
Oh, you got to congratulate Coach Hawk. Got the guys pumped up in my opinion, a little lethargic at the beginning. And if it wasn't for Rhett, you know, the score is close enough. But to go over 300 yards rushing is a tremendous feat. And to the Huskers, man, oh man, you know, you come from 0-10 last year to 6-4 is your final record for this season. That's tremendous, and all kudos to Coach Reese and the entire Huskers organization for what they've done this year.
So the Raiders finish 6-4, the Huskers 6-4 as well. But by virtue of points for and against, the Raiders will finish in 3rd spot, the Huskers in 4th. With the final score 22-14 here today from Caledonia Park. 315 yards, the final total for Rhett Williams, and he's the story on offense. On defense, Guy Van McNally Hardesty, 4 tackles, a blocked kick, a batted ball, a forced fumble, and 3 interceptions. I mean, that is just an incredible stat line there for the all-star defensive back and the all-star running back.
Yeah,
proving their selections big time. And boy, look at this. I don't know if we can get a shot at the back of that Huskers line. Brandon Poulin, or I should say, excuse me, Anthony Dick, has ice wrapped and crutches on. And I mean,
yeah, that would be a
you don't know how
blow.
precautionary that is, but man, the league's leader in touchdowns is on crutches right now after this game. Very concerning from a Husker perspective, but they've got a week to get healthy and get ready for a playoff date on the road, whether they will be in Langley or in Kelowna, yet to be determined. So the VI Raiders answer some questions today. Perhaps the biggest is still very uncertain, and that is the performance of their third-year pivot, Jake LeBerge. He did not have himself a very good game today. I believe he was about, last count we had was he 6 for 18, I think, and had threw 3 interceptions today as well. So,
yeah, it's not, well, again, you know, you're going to be working on this stuff. You're going to go to practice this week, and you're going to say, okay, what can we do offensively to improve our chances? And so Coach Hawk's got it. He knows. The offensive coaches know. They just have to make sure that Jake, give him a game plan that's simple. Well, not simple, but takes a little bit of pressure off him. And the way Rhett's running, give him the rock.
Yeah.
Just say, we're going to go in there, run the football, stop us. You know, and have your defense step up like they did today and play like that.
For the Valley Huskers today, the spark wasn't quite there. The intensity wasn't quite there, but they were right in this ball game until the very final minute. Had a chance on a final drive to come down the field and tie this game, needing 8 points. It wasn't quite there. Julian Wittink looked really great at times, but also threw 4 interceptions. And this Husker offense turned the ball over 8 times by my count unofficially, Paul. And so you have that combined with the injuries and a lot to sort of digest and think about on a Sunday afternoon for this Husker team and their coaching staff.
Absolutely. And I think the coaches will look back on some of the decisions they made offensively for those 9 turnovers. And you got to look at that. You can't have that happen. You turn the ball over 9 times in a game, and you lose the game by 8 points.
Yeah.
So if you eliminate those 9 turnovers, maybe you're what team's on the upper side of the score. But it's playoffs coming. It's a long season. 10 games is a long season in junior football, and you're practicing every day. Everybody gets hurt somewhere down the line. So everything accumulates to that last game, knowing that next week we're going to cut roster. We're going to take our healthy guys. We're going to go try and see what we can do.
Jake LeBerge struggled today, but Rhett Williams picked up the load in a big way. 315 yards rushing and a touchdown for the 22-year-old out of Weyburn, Saskatchewan in his final junior football regular season game and potentially his last game here at Caledonia Park as well. And on defense, Guy Van McNally Hardesty, the all-star defensive back, 3 interceptions, a blocked kick, a forced fumble, was all over the field today, an impenetrable force defensively to say the least. So the Huskers finished 4th, the Raiders finished 3rd. Where they will go, yet to be determined, but you can find out by staying with us on bcfctv.com for the rest of the day. 4 o'clock kickoff in Kamloops where the Rams take on the Broncos. 7 o'clock tonight in the Apple Bowl in Kelowna as the Okanagan Sun get a visit from the West Shore Rebels with a chance to grab first place. Big thanks to all of our contributors on the broadcast here today, from our production crew to Paul Short to everybody else that had a part. BCFC statistician Heather Foster feeding us the stats all day as well. And to you for joining us, thank you so much. For BCFCTV.com, I'm Dominic Abassi. Good evening from Nanaimo.